Any given Thursday, as I fail to crack open this beer, Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. You know, these seltzers, as good as they are, Chase, they just sometimes the little cracker open thing, it's just not it's not built the same. But we're good. We're here. We're back. Episode 5 every Thursday here on Chat Sports. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. Chase, going a little heavy NBA action today. Still going to talk some college football and NFL, but basketball's like 2 weeks away, man. It's back.
Dude, the NBA preseason is already here, and I've been sitting at home late night catching up on some of these NBA games. I go box score hunting every night to see which teams have which starting lineups. I'm really excited to talk some hoops, and I know we have a massive audience regarding the NBA all across the world because so many people who do subscribe to us are such huge hoops fans. I can't wait to get into today's show.
Shout out your city and let us know where you guys are watching from. By the way, I can't hear my producer in my ear. I don't know if that's a you or me problem, but shout out your city and let us know. We'll get some shout outs now. Try that again, Jeremy. That was a little better. I don't know if that's out louder in my headset, but maybe.
I can't hear you.
L2 Cloud is from the UK. Guyana is where Kareem is watching. Let's see. Band Up wants to let us know he's the first in the live chat. The more people that get in here, the better it is for everyone. So get that live chat popping. There we go. Now we can hear our producer. There we go. Chug's 40. He's rocking. He's rolling. Jeremy Chug's producing today's show. Rocking his jersey. He's having a time. Hi, Case and Harrison. Are you Case now?
I guess so. We can go with that. Case Keenum.
Case Keenum Sr. Guyana, we got Chicago from Ezra. Jackson, Mississippi. Istanbul. Hi, Chase and Harrison. There he goes. There's the correction. We're here in Dallas, Texas here, so that should be a grand old time. Let's see. We got a Miami, Florida from King Ezekiel. Tom Downey's burner account is in Baltimore. I think we found out during our MLB watch party, Chase, that he's an Orioles fan.
He is an Orioles fan.
Did we confirm that?
Unfortunately.
That's,
nothing really good going on there since Cal Ripken Jr. They were good around the 2010 range with Adam
What's
Jones.
weird is a few years ago they were like getting into the wild card, and then
Buck Showalter as their manager.
Yeah, they went from being like an 87 win team per year to like 45.
Yeah, they're really
overnight.
bad.
It just fell apart very, very quickly. So continue to shout out your city and let us know where you're watching from. Jam-packed show, but we want to get the audience built up just a little bit at first. What's your favorite NBA team? Preseason's underway. Opening night, Chase, is actually 12 days away. I believe it's Lakers, Warriors, and is it Nets, Bucks? Are those
I think
two
so.
games?
Yeah, I think so. I know Lakers and Warriors for a fact. I'm still in fully football mode.
Yes.
But with the NBA season right around the corner, man, we're going to be diving in on our
the best time. It's the best time of year. You got NFL, NBA, and college football all happening at once. And baseball playoffs. So it doesn't get much better than that. Get us some shout-outs here. Favorite NBA team.
Yeah, Clayton Locker, Lakers, Cavs fan from Tom Downey. Man, so Cavs fan and Orioles fan. That's a rough go for Tom Downey's burner account, but we do appreciate you because you're a Chat Sports OG. Will the Heat make a statement this year from King Ezekiel? I think they're going to be very good. Ezra Ozinga, Sox or Astros? That's a really good series. I think the Astros could win just because of their postseason experience alone. L2_Clouds, Warriors and Bulls. Bulls looking nice from Ezra. I am an Army brat, LOL, from Tom Downey burner account. So he grew up in an Army family, I think is what he means there, which means these people are just living all around the country as they grow up. One of our own, Thomas Mott, was a military kid growing up as well, so he lived all over the place. Marquise Robertson, Los Angeles Lakers. He's another Chat Sports OG. A lot of Chat Sports OGs tuning in today. We appreciate
you guys need to spread the word. Let's get more Chat Sports OGs long term so we can get more people tuning in to AGT. I wanted to bring our producer Jeremy Chugs in here. He had the setup ready to rock and roll. Then he's trying to change it up on us.
There he is.
Here he is.
Hey, Jeremy.
There's Jeremy Chugs. He's our hype man here at Chat Sports. You ready to go?
I'm the hype man. I'm the food connoisseur, and I root for shitty teams. Let's go!
Yeah, he's wearing a Texans jersey. He also likes the Eagles, so that's a double disaster this year.
Hey,
but,
go Birds.
Hey, if
Hey.
you root for a shitty team like me, go like the video.
There you, and if you don't, still like the video, please. That would be very, very helpful. You guys will hear from Chugs from time to time. You'll definitely see him as well. So we're happy to have him on board once again this week. Here's what's coming up on any given Thursday. We'll go through our NBA power rankings as the preseason is underway. We've got some preseason news and rumors to get into as well, especially around a handful of different teams. NFL Week 5 picks against the spread. Chase, as an office, Chat Sports had a hell of a week picking NFL games. It was very, very impressive. We'll get you guys caught up on our leaderboard.
Made some money last week.
And what we're thinking this week. USC Football hot board. We're going to take a look at 10 candidates that could replace Clay Helton. He was fired almost a month ago. And then Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers. A lot of buzz around that. Aaron Rodgers gets the final word on today's show. So all of that and more coming up. But a couple more questions, including who you guys got on Thursday Night Football. Type LAR for the Rams, SCA for the Seahawks. Plus, you can go bet on this game at BetUS. Go make some money. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Chat125. It's a hell of a matchup for a Thursday night. I'm pretty excited for this one.
Seahawks getting 3 points at home, coming off a win against the Niners, and it was a really impressive win for them because they didn't do anything that was all too impressive, but they go on the road, they hand the Niners the L. Russell Wilson was making magic happen, and then you have a Rams team that went out, beat the Bucs at home, and everybody's like, Los Angeles, Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, that's the best team in the league. And then they got dump trucked and hammered by the Arizona Cardinals. So not only is this a great game from a matchup perspective, because these are two really, really good teams, there are stars littered across this team, both teams, in this matchup, I should say. I can't wait to watch tonight.
This is an interesting one. If the Seahawks win tonight and Arizona were to beat San Francisco, then the Cardinals are up 2 games through the first 5 weeks.
Yeah.
That could be very, very interesting. Yeah. But on the flip side, if the Niners beat the Cardinals and the Seahawks win tonight, all 4 teams are within a game.
Exactly right, yeah.
Which, knowing this division...
Totally on brand for the NFL.
Knowing this division, that's probably what will happen.
Yeah.
So, SM says he's going with the Rams. So is King Ezekiel and Clayton. Ezra's going with the Rams. SM as well. Joseph going with Seattle. Curtis going with the Rams. L2 Cloud going with the Rams. Seeing mostly Rams picks in the comments. We'll revisit this throughout the show, but let us know who you got. Type LAR for the Rams, or you can type your SEA for the Seattle Seahawks. If you're ready to jump on into today's live show, we're just kind of building the audience, shooting the shit. We showed you guys what's on tap today. If you're ready to go, type me, and we'll go ahead and dive headfirst into this thing. Chase and I, producer Chugs, we're all ready to rock and roll. So type me if you're ready for this show. You can also like the video. That really helps us out. We're at 26 likes. Let's try and get that up to 40 or 50. So type me if you're ready to rock, and we'll get some few more shout-outs here. Then we'll jump on in. Clayton says me. SM says me. Noah Stanley says, not me. Well, Noah, if you're not ready, get ready, because we're about to start this thing. Ezra says me. Curtis says me. L2 says me. Orlando's a Warriors fan, by the way.
Nice.
Go Dubs. L2 says me. Continue to get those me's locked and loaded. Once my producer's ready to go, we'll go ahead and jump in here. Let's see. Tom Downey burner account says me as well.
Let me say this. These seltzers are way too easy to take down.
What did you call them yesterday? They're like candy?
Yeah, they're just candy. Just liquid candy.
Did you already finish yours?
No, but I'm about to. I'm so good.
We good over there, boys? What's the word? L2 says me. Marquise says me.
Tom Downey burner account. L2_clouds. Orlando Moore. Curtis Watts.
All right.
Ezra. Noah. SM.
Yeah.
All Chat Sports OGs. Joseph Bryant, we see you as well.
Going with the OG menu today. Oh, yeah, we got to remind you guys, the Super Chat menu today. Super Chats of any amount. Who's your boy last week that was pacing the show with Super Chats? Dropping 30 bombs?
It was Rick.
Rick Bennett was carrying us
Rick
last
Bennett
week.
was
Rick,
awesome.
if you're watching, we're ready to go. Also, producer Jack last week, his mom was nice enough to give us a few bucks. That was very nice. $5, beers, cheers. We're already drinking, but we'll drink more if we get $5. $10, we'll take some shots of Fireball. I've been doing that a couple of times this week with some Chicago Bears news. And then $50, Chase says he'll shotgun. Maybe Chugs will as well. He's ready to
Bear.
rock and roll. So here we go. Get ready for any given Thursday. If you want a super chat, that's what we got on tap for you guys. But we're going to get started with our NBA power rankings now that the preseason is underway. You're watching Any Given Thursday. It's Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. You can watch us live every single week here on Chat Sports, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific time. The NBA preseason is underway, so we thought we would take a look at our a little too early power rankings with the regular season just about 2 weeks away. And we'll kind of go quick early on here, Chase. Oklahoma City at number 30, Orlando at number 29. We'll kind of go 30 through 26, then we'll talk a little bit about these squads. Houston Rockets at number 28, the Detroit Pistons at number 27, and then the Cleveland Cavaliers at 26. Obviously, you look at Houston and Detroit, Chase, a lot of young talent, but still a ways to go here.
There's so much young talent on all of these teams, and that's why they rank so low in these power rankings. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander coming off that rookie max contract extension worth a little less than $200 million. I think he's a star in the making if he's not already. Can't wait to see what Jalen Suggs and Franz Wagner can do with the Orlando Magic. I think the arrow is pointing up for that franchise. We'll see what happens with Markelle Fultz's health, like Cole Anthony as well. The Houston Rockets are so appealing and intriguing to me because of all the young pieces on that roster. I think Jalen Green can average 18 to 20 points per game as a rookie because he's going to be relied upon to do so. Detroit Pistons obviously have the number 1 pick in Cade Cunningham, and then the Cleveland Cavaliers have a good young nucleus of Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Evan Mobley, Isaac Okoro. That team with Jared Allen has a nice little starting 5 working.
Yeah, the reality is a lot of these teams are young, which is why we'll ask this. Who is the worst team in the NBA entering this year? Not for the future, but currently, who will have the worst record in the NBA? Go ahead and let us know down in the comments. We have OKC at 30, but certainly there will be a few teams in the mix for that worst record and potentially the best odds at getting the number 1 pick. Let's go 25 to 21 here. At number 25, we've got the Washington Wizards. Bradley Beal decided to stay. We'll see if that lasts the entire season. At number 24, the San Antonio Spurs. You can't bet against Greg Popovich, but you feel like the talent is finally starting to waver there in San Antonio. We'll see what happens. We actually put Sacramento at 23, and we can talk a little bit here about that, Chase. I just think they're more talented than the Spurs. I know Luke Walton's not Greg Popovich, but they do have more talent.
The young nucleus in Sacramento of De'Aaron Fox, Davion Mitchell, as well as Tyrese Halliburton. That's a really good young nucleus, and I'd take that nucleus and that threesome over anything that the Spurs are going to be trotting out there.
I agree. At number 22, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think they're one of these wild card teams. So are the Pelicans. We'll go ahead and flash that here as well.
The Wizards could be too, you know.
I think Minnesota and New Orleans, if the West wasn't so loaded, they've got talent on these rosters. D'Lo, Karl Anthony Towns. You've got Anthony Edwards as well in Minnesota. A lot of questions about can that threesome, figure it out and be together long term. This is a big year for that franchise. New Orleans. A lot of chatter. Zion's family wants him in a bigger market. You don't make the playoffs this year, that could signal a potential trade request after this season. So those are a couple of interesting teams to look out for, Chase. And then that's why we asked this question. Will the Pelicans make the playoffs this year? If not, that trade chatter is going to increase. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Real quick, do the Pelicans make the postseason?
If they want to keep Zion Williamson long-term with a first-year head coach in Willie Green, they better hope to make the playoffs. If not, that's 3 consecutive years with Zion that they won't, and I think that further signals that Zion could ask out at some point in the future.
Well, if you think the Pelicans are a dark horse playoff team or maybe even a title contender, you can go ahead and put your money where your mouth is with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code CHAT125. You can bet on MVP odds, NBA title odds, conference odds. I don't think you can do division odds anymore because basically there's no divisions in the NBA.
Who cares about NBA divisions?
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff you can bet on. Go bet on preseason games. You actually can do that. Chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code CHAT125. You put down $100, they're going to give you $125 for free. Let's get into our top 20 here. The Toronto Raptors. Hard to kind of place them in these rankings, Chase, because we just don't really know what this team's going to be.
You know what's wild is that when they selected Scotty Barnes out of Florida State at number 4, I said, I don't know what they're doing. They lost Kyle Lowry in free agency to the Miami Heat. I would have gotten his replacement in Jalen Suggs. They select Scotty Barnes, who basically does everything well except for shoot and really be a consistent offensive player. But in the NBA Summer League, and to start off the preseason against the Sixers, he was really, really impressive. I think they might have something there in Scotty Barnes, and as we know, the Raptors have done such a great job over time of developing players.
Yeah, I certainly trust that front office and talent evaluation group. At number 19, the Indiana Pacers' new head coach, Rick Carlisle. He does a really good job of maximizing rosters, especially ones that don't have stars. I thought some of his best work with Dallas was when they didn't really have a superstar, like pre-Luka and kind of later on in the Dirk era. So I think that's an interesting team in the East. The Charlotte Hornets do have a star, and his name's LaMelo Ball. We've got them at 18.
LaMelo Ball was terrific last year as the NBA's Rookie of the Year, and I think they've done a good job with that franchise of surrounding him with the necessary pieces and the talent to kind of maximize his skill set, but also make that team really intriguing. They made it into the NBA play-in tournament last year before falling to the Indiana Pacers, who they are right in front of 18 and 19. I think the Hornets could be pretty exciting this year, and I'm looking forward to see what LaMelo Ball can do in year 2 because he's a human highlight reel.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a chance to be the best passer in this league. I think he's already top 5 along
Shooting
with
stroke improved.
Luka Doncic and LeBron and a couple of these other guys. If that shot continues to improve, they've got a cornerstone in Charlotte. At number 17, Portland, I don't know what to make of this team, but when you have a top 5, top 7 player, and then another top 30-ish player, and C.J. McCollum, of course, talking about Damian Lillard before that, you at least have a chance, right?
You have to. And look, it's not like that backcourt success hasn't been there for the Blazers with C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard. They've had some regular season success. They just have failed to make it deep into the playoffs with the exception of 2019 when they made it to the Western Conference Finals. But anytime you have Dame, who is a walking cold-blooded killer and a walking bucket as soon as he crosses half court, he's one of the best scorers in the NBA, if not the best pure scorer at the guard spot. So you have to put them in the mix.
Real excited for this team, the Memphis Grizzlies. I think they could rise up this list. A lot of young talent. You got Ja Morant. They traded Jonas Valanciunas, which I didn't love.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
To be frank, but I like some of their other young talent. Of course, my boy Desmond Bane is part of that nucleus
Throw
as
up the
well.
Horned Frogs.
Hey, man, go Frogs, baby.
Yes,
Our basketball
sir.
program's not very good, but D-Bane can get buckets. The Mavs should have drafted him. But I think the Memphis Grizzlies, if Ja Morant makes an ascension into a top 10, top 15 type of player, this is a team to watch out for the next several years. Also, wild card for this team, Jaren Jackson Jr.'s health. If he's healthy, that's a game changer. Make sure you guys subscribe to us here at Chat Sports. Myself, Chase Sr. We go live every Thursday for Any Given Thursday. We talk NFL, NBA, college football. Tom Downey, Mitchell Renz do a lot of NFL coverage here on the channel as well. You see the link below. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. We'll have you guys covered throughout or all year long for all of these sports. Okay, top 15 here. Chicago Bulls. I was tempted to put them higher, Chase, but we got to see this group play a few games first.
Look, I love the starting 5, right? You have Lonzo Ball, who I think is going to be very good on this team, playing his natural point guard position. DeMar DeRozan playing the 2, Zach LaVine at the 3, Patrick Williams, who was great as a rookie last year, at the 4, and then you have Nikola Vucevic at the 5. I like the starting 5 from a scoring and offensive standpoint. I got to see what they can do defensively under Billy Donovan because they might be really bad on that end. And at some point in the playoffs, in the regular season, you have to come through with stops like the New York Knicks do.
Well, getting stops isn't really a huge problem for the Knicks, but like we saw in the playoffs, scoring was, what do? You sign Evan Fournier. You go get Kemba Walker. It's been one preseason game, but this Knicks offense looked a lot better the other night than what we saw a year ago. I'm looking for Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickley to take that second-year jump. I think this Knicks team has a chance to make some real noise, maybe even win a playoff series this year. I think they're a team to watch in the Eastern Conference. Also a team that you're very high on, Chase, is the Boston Celtics.
I'm high on the Boston Celtics because every year since they've gotten into the league, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have gotten progressively better, and it's actually insane to see how much their numbers jump year in and year out, and I think that's going to continue this year. I think Jason Tatum can be a top 10 MVP candidate. I already think that Jaylen Brown is one of, if not the best two-way players in the league. He continues to get better and better, and anytime you have 2 elite wings like that, you're going to be in the mix in the East.
We didn't really know where to put the Los Angeles Clippers because we just don't know what the status of Kawhi is going to be if he plays.
That's what it hinges on.
Obviously, he's not going to be ready for a while. The question is, can he make the playoffs? So at this point in time, we can't put him in the top 10. We got him at 12. Still a really good team without Kawhi. Not a top 10 title contending type of team without him, though, so we have him at 12. And then at number 11, another team with a question mark around a star player, That's Ben Simmons, Chase. Take it away.
Yeah, well, Jason Preston for the Clippers, the point guard, the rookie out of Ohio, probably going to be lost for most of the year. That news coming down on Thursday as we record this. He broke his foot. And with the Philadelphia 76ers, like, they're talented enough to really survive for a little while in the regular season without Ben Simmons, but as far as their postseason hopes come, they're not going to be able to make a deep run unless they either have Simmons, which of course probably isn't going to happen, or if they can get an all-star or an all-star level player back for him. So that's why they're on the outside looking in of the top 10. Joel Embiid can be an MVP player. I think Tyrese Maxey is going to take a massive jump, but that roster just doesn't have enough star power to be in the top 10. Where will Ben Simmons play this season? That's one of the big questions that everybody's trying to solve throughout the NBA circle. Let us know in the comment section. Drop us a team right now. I don't know where Ben Simmons is going to go. I think a trade is going to happen. Who the hell knows when that trade is going to happen because the market for a trade for Simmons has been somewhat slow progressing. I think teams are trying to feel out what their rosters are right now in NBA training camp as well as the preseason. I think at some point this year he does get traded. Where? You let us know.
Let's get into the top 10 here. The Dallas Mavericks, potential's there. They've come up short in the playoffs. Really, their ceiling is going to come down to really mainly one thing and one thing only, and it's a two-part of this one item. Kristaps Porzingis' health and his impact. Last year, he got healthy for the playoffs, but he had no impact whatsoever. Rick Carlisle put him in the corner, and he was not a factor. That can't happen this year. He has to be a real sidekick for Luka Doncic, and if we get bubble KP for a lot of this year, this Dallas Mavericks team could make some noise. I like the additions of Sterling Brown and Reggie Bullock. At number 9, the Atlanta Hawks, who made that nice run last year, Chase. Is it repeatable? Was that a bit of a fluke and a couple of things bounced their way? Either way, we got to give him some love.
Look, when he came into the league, I said Trae Young reminds me a lot of Steph Curry, and that was the comp. And he kind of came on quickly in a way that Steph Curry did with the Golden State Warriors. Nobody foresaw that the Warriors would become what they became with Steph Curry leading the charge. I'm not saying the Hawks are going to be that, but there's so much Steph Curry in Trae Young. I think he's only going to continue to get better. That roster is loaded. And here's the deal. Cam Reddish barely played in the playoffs. He's looked really good in training camp as well as the preseason. He could help them go from very, very good to possibly an elite team.
At number 8, the Golden State Warriors, and this could be anywhere from a top 5 type of title contending team to a fringe playoff team, depending on Klay Thompson's health, when he comes back, what his impact will be. We know about Steph Curry. We know what he brings to the table. By the way, Andrew Wiggins good to go. He did reportedly get vaccinated.
Bullying works.
That's no longer an issue. But Klay Thompson's the wild card. Can he get healthy, and can he be a factor? And if not, that's going to be, probably a limitation of where this team can go. But Steph is an MVP candidate. I trust Steve Kerr as a coach. We'll see where this Warriors team can go this year. At number 7, the Denver Nuggets, Chase. No Jamal Murray at first, but I think he'll return at some point.
And when he's on the floor, he's one of the best playmakers. He's one of the best scorers at the guard spot across the entire NBA. And you match him up with the Joker, it's a really good tandem.
How about Porter getting the $200 million max?
So many people are high on him.
Dude,
and look, he's got a good game.
A lot.
I wouldn't give him the max.
No.
And I also have concerns about that back injury that continues to linger.
Yeah, that's a big bit of a gamble for me. At number 6, the Miami Heat, arguably the biggest winners in free agency. You get Kyle Lowry on board, a championship pedigree type of guard. You pair him with Jimmy Buckets and that young core. I like what they got going on. We get into the top 5 here. The Utah Jazz, Chase, had Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell not gotten banged up in the playoffs last year, this team might have won the whole thing. They were playing at a very high level prior to Mitchell's injury a year ago.
Donovan Mitchell is a budding superstar, and the numbers that he was putting up before that ankle injury in the regular season were stupid. Any given night, he was averaging between 25, 35 points per game, and he was doing the same in the playoffs, but clearly hobbled. They went up 2-0 against a very good Clippers team while Kawhi Leonard, was still healthy. A little bit
Koala bear?
Yeah, we're not in Australia. Good aim, mate. But no, I like the Jazz, and they were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference last year, so don't take them lightly.
Yeah, I mean, you put Phoenix right here. Again, had there not been the Mitchell injury, we could be have these guys flip-flop. I mean, it could have been the Jazz in the finals. Obviously, Chris Paul's back. That's the big story. DeAndre Ayton, you hope he takes another step along with Devin Booker as well. A sneaky signing we both liked was the addition of JaVale McGee. Then you get into the top 3, and I think these 3 slightly separate themselves from the rest of the pack. The Milwaukee Bucks, the defending champs, Giannis really kind of showed the world that he belongs in terms of the elite of the elite. A champion and a 2-time MVP. If he retired today, this is a sure first ballot Hall of Famer.
There were so many questions about the postseason success that Milwaukee could have with Giannis being their number one. Well, they put all those questions to rest last year with how good they played as a team, some of the adjustments that Mike Budenholzer made along the way. Yes, if Kevin Durant's shoe size was a size shorter, maybe the Bucks don't even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but they did, and then they took care of business against a very good and deep Phoenix Suns team, led by a wonderful performance from Giannis Antetokounmpo. He becomes one of the only players in NBA history, alongside Michael Jordan, to win multiple MVPs, an NBA championship, as well as Defensive Player of the Year. He is legit, as evidenced by his performance in Game 6. It was one of the greatest finals performances that we've ever seen, and I think that confidence, them getting that monkey off their shoulders, will then translate into more confidence this year because they don't have as much pressure on them because they got the job done. Before we get into our top 2 teams and our all too early NBA power rankings, let us know who you think the best team in the NBA is. Now, process of elimination, you know who's coming up in these 2 and 1 spots, but you let us know who you think is the best team in the NBA.
Yeah, so obviously, process of elimination, Lakers and Nets. We went with the Lakers at number 2 and the Nets at number 1. I will say, with this Kyrie ongoing situation, which obviously, again, this is not a political show. Kyrie can do what he wants. But the reality is, I don't know what the Nets do in this situation if he's going to be a part-time player and can't play in home games. If he's only available for half the games, I think the Lakers would be at number 1 in that scenario. But we went with Brooklyn at number 1 here, Chase. These 2 teams at full strength feel like the best 2 teams in the NBA.
They do, but there are huge issues, as you mentioned, about the Brooklyn Nets being at full strength. And when they have Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden, it's one of the best scoring threesomes that we've ever seen over the course of NBA history. We're just not sure if Kyrie Irving is going to be available for half of the Brooklyn Nets games because due to COVID protocols, if you're not vaccinated, you cannot play in New York City limits. That's the deal right now. So if you go from having that big 3 to only having a Kevin Durant and James Harden, is this team still very good? Yes. Are they still one of the best teams in the NBA? No doubt about it. But can they win an NBA championship with only KD and James Harden? I think they probably can, but it makes that team a lot less dangerous if Kyrie Irving is unable to go because you have Patty Mills as your starting point guard. And I think Cam Thomas is going to be a great rookie, but honestly, so much hinges on what Kyrie Irving decides to do.
Well, and let's be honest, vaccination status or not, Kyrie's kind of lost a lot of people's trust.
No doubt.
I mean, last year he would disappear. He wouldn't play in games. He wasn't healthy for the playoffs.
You can't count on him.
This is just kind of the cherry on top with his status completely unavailable for a home game. So remind you one more time, let us know who you guys think is the best team in the NBA. We'll continue to update our power rankings throughout the NBA season. Okay, we'll get some shout-outs here on Chat Sports.
I got you, H. Graham.
Yeah, you got it lined up. Got over 135 people watching. Shout-out to all of you. Chase going to give some shout-outs. We'll also get to that super chat here in a minute.
Yeah, Benjamin saying Mavs are the best. MJ saying Denver over Jazz, especially a healthy Jamal Murray returning. PJ Tucker from SM, he is on the Miami Heat. Orlando Moore saying Warriors are the best, period. Clayton Lockhart saying as long as the Lakers are number 1 at the end of the season, that's all that matters. Tom Downey's burner account did give us a $2 super chat, so shout out to one of the Chat Sports OGs who tunes into basically everything that we do. He said, all right, Cavs made it into the top 30 Progress 2016 champions. Yeah, that's good sense of humor
Everyone's
there because
top
there's
30.
only 30 teams in the NBA. So Tom Downey's burner account, he's always keeping it a buck and keeping it humorous here on the show.
Shout out to you for the super chat. Shout out to you, which is what we did. $5 super chats. We'll beers cheers you. $10. We'll take some shots, and then $50. Chase is he's ready to shotgun, as is producer Chug. Which, by the way, Chug's little moment on the show is coming up after this next segment. So stay tuned for that. Sorry, I'm a little sidetracked with the Bears injury report. Oh, no Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks again today. That's it's a little worrisome. All right, we'll get back on track here. Coming up next, picks against the spread. Is that what we're doing?
Yes,
all right. Hey, week 4, we were on fire. Let's take a look ahead to week 5. Harrison Graham, Chase Sr., any given Thursday. We go live every single Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific time. It's time to make our weekly picks against the spread in the NFL. And let's update you guys on the standings at Chat Sports and then just kind of break down how hot of a week we had in the office. Guys, we were bad the week before. We're back now. We are so freaking back. You know who never left?
Tom
Downey, 16-4.
Not only that, back-to-back weeks in which he has hit a 5-team parlay.
Well,
he's
so he's 10-0 his last 2 weeks, and his strategy is to parlay his 5 picks every week. He's up like $350 the last 2 weeks. I mean, it's just unreal. He's on fire. He should start putting down $50 a game if he keeps that up. You see the week 4 record, 48-27 in the office. That's pretty remarkable. 13-7 is where Matthew Peterson sits. Thomas Mott, Jeremy Beadling, and James Yoder, that's Jeremy Chuggs, of course, all above 500 there. So is Marshall Green at 11-9. Brett Scott, Mitchell Renz, R.C. Maxfield, Jack Lauderay, all at 9-11. Notice we're just now getting to Chase and I, but I actually had a good week. I went 4-1, so I'm up to 5-15. Guys, I'm back.
I made
We're
money
ready to go. Chase is up to 6-14.
Yeah.
We're catching the rest of these guys in the office. Just string together a couple more solid weeks here, then we'll be back in the mix, at least in the middle of the pack. I don't know if I'm catching Tom. He's 11 games up through 4 weeks, but it was a good week at the office. And hey, if you guys are feeling good about our picks, put your money where your mouth is with BetUS. Okay, if you like our content, if you love the NFL, like this video. We have a lot of fun. I hope you guys are having fun watching these videos. Hit that thumbs up icon, and let's have a week here in NFL Week 5 and make some money. All right, let's go through our picks. Chase, we'll go through yours first.
Yeah, so the last couple of weeks I've really honed in on what the sharps are liking across the board, and a lot of sharps are in on the New York Giants plus 7.5. Daniel Jones has been a wizard on the road. He's awful against the spread at home, but the Giants are getting 7.5 points, coming off a really good comeback win against the Saints.
Big one.
I think they cover that number against a very good Dallas Cowboys team. These two teams obviously know each other very well. Chargers -2 at home against the Cleveland Browns. I think Justin Herbert is playing like the best quarterback, pure quarterback across the National Football League. This line is somewhat fishy to me. A lot of people aren't buying stock into the Cleveland Browns. So I almost went Cleveland +2, but this is back-to-back road games for Cleveland. Chargers are playing so well. I think Brandon Staley is a future star as a head coach. Give me Los Angeles -2. Eagles +3.5 at Carolina. They've lost 3 games in a row, but they've gotten better and better the last couple of weeks offensively. Late in that game against Dallas, and they showed some strides to me. Last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, Jalen Hurts, through his first 8 career starts, has put up some historic numbers along the likes of some of the great quarterbacks that we've seen over the course of NFL history. That goes to show you he's playing a lot better than what that Eagles record indicates. Washington Football Team getting 2 as 2-point underdogs at home against the New Orleans Saints. Now, historically, Sean Payton has been very good coming off losses. Only thing is, he's had Drew Brees coming off losses. Now he has Jameis Winston. I like the Washington Football Team and that defense to finally get it together. 5 weeks in, they come through with the win, and they win outright. Chiefs -3 against the Buffalo Bills. I was flip-flopping between Buffalo and Kansas City all week. I just think this is a get-right game for KC. They end up impressing a lot of people, and this is their statement to the rest of the league, because the sportsbooks still have KC as the favorites to win the Super Bowl, that we are back, we are for real, let's ride. How about a Josh Gordon touchdown as a prop bet as well?
Let's get it.
I dig it. If you want to lay down some money on all of these games throughout the NFL Week 5 or the NFL season, you can do so thanks to our sportsbook partner, BetUS. This is the best deal that any sportsbook has to offer. A 125% deposit bonus only if you enter that link at the bottom of your screen, chatsports.com/bet, and that promo code chat125. You put $100 into your account, you get an additional $125 back. Hey, you got to rock with BetUS for sure. Harrison?
All right, let's get to my picks this week. 5-15, but I was 0-10, so we're 5-5 since then. We're on the come up, 4-1 last week. This is a weird one to me. Pick'em game between the Steelers and the Broncos. As of Thursday when we're filming this, we don't know if Teddy Bridgewater will play. It seems like he's trending toward playing, but that Steelers defense is still really good. That game's in Pittsburgh. They desperately need a win. I just don't see a Mike Tomlin team falling to 1-4. Philadelphia, Carolina, the Sharps really like the over in this game. And what do we mean by Sharps? It means that the big money is coming in on the over in this game. So the sharps,
the expert bettors,
like the over. So yeah, the big time bettors, the guys who study this stuff, they like the Eagles Carolina over 45, and it makes sense. Philadelphia's defense has stunk, and Carolina's offense has been pretty solid. I like the over 45 there. Bears plus 5.5 at Las Vegas. Maybe I'm sipping too much Justin Fields tea, but here's the real reason why. The Raiders' offensive line is a bottom 3 to 5 unit in the NFL. Bears lead the NFL in sacks. Now, Akeem Hicks and Khalil Mack's status for Sunday is somewhat undetermined, but Robert Quinn is ready to go. He's been awesome. Travis Gibson's been getting after the quarterback as well. I think they'll get a lot of pressure on Derek Carr. Chargers -2. I'm with Chase. Justin Herbert's playing like a superstar. I think he could win the MVP this year. They get the only 2-point underdogs at home against the Browns. I get the Chargers' home situation isn't quite what other teams is, but I like that number quite a bit. And I'm going the over in the Chiefs-Bills game. I think this could be like 70 plus. I think we could see a 38-35 type of game, and I do like Kansas City, but I didn't like them enough to take them on the -3. Who's going to have the better record betting this week? Because Chase started a little hotter than me, but I've picked it up. He's one game ahead of me overall. Type C for Chase. I can't really do an H with my hands. I guess I'm a bum. I don't know. Type H for Harrison. Feeling good about where I am coming off last week, but let us know what you guys think. C for Chase or H for Harrison. And then we're going to rapid fire through the rest of our picks. But producer Chugs, we'll mic him up, and he can make his picks here as well.
All right, boys. So, first of all, I got the Steelers in a pick'em versus Denver. I just don't feel comfortable with the whole situation going on with Teddy Bridgewater at the moment. You know, he's got a concussion. We don't know if he's going to be in this week, if he's going to be out this week. I mean, without him.
You just don't like it.
Yeah, I don't believe in Denver. Steelers pick 'em. They're home. Let's ride. Philly, Carolina. I think the Philly offense has kind of picked it up. They found their struggles, or they got over their struggles in the red zone, and I think they're going to be able to score. I don't know if they're going to be able to beat Carolina, but I definitely think it's going to be over 45. The Lions +9, that's just a huge spread.
They've been competitive.
They've been competitive in each of their games. They lost to the Ravens on a historic field goal. Mm-hmm. A team that's in the Chat Sports top 10 power rankings, by the way. And it's a +9 spread. I think they'll be able to cover that. Packers, Aaron Rodgers has been getting better each and every week, you know, because, I mean, when you take a whole offseason off, usually takes the first couple of weeks to kind of get into form. So Aaron Rodgers is all the way back. And then, just like Chase said, Washington +2. I don't trust
Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I don't trust Jameis Winston. I don't trust
He's forgettable, so it's okay that you forgot his name there.
I was thinking about the quarterback, and I was like, do I say Jameis Winston or do I say Taysom Hill? I don't know.
Taysom
Hill can't throw a deep ball.
No. I don't trust either of them.
All right.
Those are my picks.
There's Jeremy Chugs. We'll see what he ends up doing this week. We'll alternate the rest of the picks. I'll take Tom's here. Man, he's hot. 16-4. I kind of wanted to just be like, all right, I'm just going to gas Tom, but then how am I ever going to catch up to him? So I can't do that. So he got Lions +9. He agrees with Jeremy. Packers -3.5. They're on the same page there. Patriots -10 at Houston. I know the Texans are bad, but that's a big road spread. 49ers +6 at Arizona. And then the Cowboys, he likes them at home -7.5.
Let's go to Thomas Mott now. He's 11-8-1 on the year. He likes the Eagles getting 4 on the road at Carolina. Broncos +1.5 at Pittsburgh. Packers 3-point favorites on the road at Cincinnati. Chargers, he got it at +1, which I really, really like. I'm not sure how he got that at +1, but hey, maybe he beat the books a little bit. And then the Bills getting +2.5 on the road at KC. I could easily see Buffalo winning this game. I just went the other way.
Boss man James Yoder, he's rallied to 11-9. Vikings -9. Texans +10. He likes the under 39.5. That takes some stones between the Denver Broncos and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, the Eagles +3.5 at Carolina. Titans -5 at Jacksonville. And I want to bring Downey's picks back up here again, Chase, because people in the comments have been questioning it. Is there insider trading going on?
Questioning the validity.
Is his uncle working for VSIN? I mean, what's going on here? Is Downey cheating? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. He's saying no, but you don't go 16
well,
and 4,
anybody
man.
who's cheating never
All right,
owns
Downey's
up to it.
running in. Oh, he's running away. Oh, he's running from the cops because he's cheating on this one. So get your votes in. Y for yes, N for no. Let us know if Downey's cheating, and Chase will go through Marshall's picks
All right,
here.
the GOAT, Money Marsh, Giants plus 7.5, Panthers minus 3.5, so he's going the opposite of me. Chiefs minus 3 at home against Buffalo, Chargers minus 2 against Cleveland, and the Packers minus 3.5 against Cincinnati.
Shout out to Magic Spoon, another one of our sponsors on today's show. You guys can get $5 off at magicspoon.com/chat. If you want healthy cereal that's high in protein, has 0 grams of sugar, and is low in carbs as well, head over to that link below. It's magicspoon.com/chat. Tons of different flavors. They use natural flavors. This cereal is gluten-free, it's grain-free, it's soy-free, it's keto-friendly. It's absolutely fantastic. Get some Magic Spoon cereal today at magicspoon.com/chat. Appreciate you guys for checking out their cereal. Let's go through Brett Scott's picks, one of our other bosses as well. Chargers minus 2. He likes the Steelers minus 1. Downey's about to come in here, so we're gonna go. Let's go full screen. Let's go full screen after this pick. He likes Washington plus 2. Get in here, Downey. We're putting you on screen. Ravens minus 7, and then the Vikings minus 9. Let's go full screen here. Get Downey over here because he's mad at our accusations that the man is cheating. He's got salt. How much are you up? Like $300 the last 2 weeks?
Pretty much.
It's unreal.
10 to win 250.
Gas Downey. Subscribe to the channel. Hey, if you want 16 and 4 betting advice, there you go. That's what we're all about. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Appreciate you guys for subscribing to the channel. We have more NFL news and rumors throughout the NFL season.
Let's get to Mitchell Renz's pick. He's riding with the Titans, 4.5-point favorites on the road against Jacksonville. Are the Jags going to lay down for Urban Meyer? Potentially, it could be a disaster. He likes the over in the Falcons-Jets game in London. That number set at 46. Patriots 10-point favorites on the road at Houston. Packers 3.5-point favorites against the Bengals. And then the Cowboys 7.5-point favorites at home against the Giants.
R.C. Maxfield also at 9-11. He likes the Titans as well. You'd figure they'd bounce back after that disaster against the Jets. He likes the over in Buffalo, Kansas City. I do as well. Washington football team plus 2 against the New Orleans Saints. Carolina minus 3 against Philadelphia. And then Dallas minus 7.5 against the Giants.
Jack Lauderay, never bet on games before this, but he's actually doing pretty well. 9-11 this year. Call 911 because that boy is hot. Lions 9-point underdogs against the Vikings. I kind of like that as well. Patriots 10-point favorites. He's going with the Cowboys, the Titans, and the Packers, all his favorites there.
Sam Brown, who swears to me he'll be above 500 after this week. He likes Carolina minus 3.5. He loves Detroit plus 9 at Minnesota. He's taking the over in the Bears-Raiders game. I kind of like the under in that one. I think there could be a lot of sacks in that game. Chargers minus 2 against the Browns, and then the over in Chiefs-Bills. Sam walked in here. What do you always say? Never bet unders?
It's overs only. Overs only.
Overs only. All right, there he is. There he is. All right, we got a couple more guys to get to. My headset almost broke in half there. Let's get to this question, Jeremy. Shout out your favorite team. If you want to bet on your team, you go to BetUS, but go ahead and rep your squad down in the comments. And, hey, the more shout-outs we get for certain teams, maybe we'll talk about those teams more in the near future. So go ahead and let us know which squad you are repping.
Trace Gerard. Don't let him get near a power cord. Cowboys 7.5-point favorites against the Giants. He's going with the Packers and Titans as 3.5 and 4.5-point favorites. He likes the under in Saints, Washington at 45, and then he likes the over for San Francisco, Arizona. Looks as though Trey Lance is going to get the start in place of Jimmy Garoppolo.
All right, Mini Coop bringing up the rear with me at 5 and 15. He likes the over in that Philadelphia-Carolina game. I'm starting to wonder about this one. A lot of people have done that. Yeah. Packers minus 3 at Cincinnati. Chargers minus 2 at Cleveland. He likes the Bears plus 5.5 at Las Vegas. And then the Panthers, I assume that's minus 3.5 against Philadelphia in that one. We'll go through the standings one more time. Tom Downey at 16-4. Matthew Peterson at 13-7. Thomas Mott at 11-8-1. Jeremy Chuggs and James Yoder at 11-9. Marshall Green also there. Brett, Mitch, RC, and Jack all at 9-11, as is Sam Brown, and then Chase Gerard at 8-12. Trace Gerard at 8-12. Chase Senior at 6-14. I'm at 5-15, and so is Mini Coop Jeff Cooperstein. Those are our standings. We'll keep you guys updated throughout the NFL season. We're not betting on Thursday Night Football because a lot of you guys will see this video after Thursday Night Football. But who you got? Type LAR for the Rams. Type SEA for the Seattle Seahawks. Who are you rolling with tonight? I think the Rams are 2-point favorites on the road.
Yeah, I've seen 3 as well. If it gets back up to 3 late, I might go Seattle as 3-point home underdogs.
12th man on a national TV game.
Can't count out Russell Wilson, man. I know that they lost 2 straight to the Titans and the Vikings, but with Russell Wilson, man, all that team does over time is just win. So I'm going to type my SEA for the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, it's time for Chugg's 40. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Oh, here he goes. He's chugging. Look at that, man.
Chuggy Chug.
You got to show the jersey afterward. Chugs. It says Chugs. There it is. Now we can see it. Chugs 40. Jeremy Chugs. We call him Chugs because he can chug beers with the best of them. Every time it's near the minute 40 mark on the clock, it's Chugs 40 time. So
I love that kid.
Hey, man, he brings the energy. He brings the fun. He keeps it loose.
I'll tell you what, man. That kid's a grinder, and he's a good beer drinker, man.
He's a Gruden grinder, some might say. Kudos to him. Make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button. He grinds more than Urban Meyer. We'll just leave it at that. What's coming up next here? I'm scrolling through my doc here. Some more NBA preseason stuff. A lot of NBA preseason news and rumors, man. You ready to talk some hoops?
Continue to talk some hoops.
Yeah, exactly. We'll talk some more. We'll talk some more NBA coming up right now. So the NBA preseason is ongoing. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. here, and which means the NBA regular season is just around the corner. So we'll kind of get you guys caught up with some of the schedule, the dates, and storylines in the preseason here. Obviously, some games have already happened. All teams, I should say, play 4 exhibition games during the preseason before things get ramped up here in the later part of October. October 19th, there's a couple of games, and then all 30 NBA teams are in action by the 21st. But basketball, it's back in the preseason. The regular season is almost back. Chase, you ready, man? You ready for opening night?
I'm ready because I started here at Chat Sports on March 1, and I got to see what the NBA trade deadline was like, NBA playoffs, NBA free agency, the NBA draft, and I got to see firsthand how wide of an audience we have when it comes to the NBA. I'm ready to ramp up our coverage because I love talking hoops with the peeps.
So type me down in the comments if you're ready for opening night of the NBA. Get those me's down below. We've talked about this recently, the MVP odds, Chase. Anything change for you? You think these make sense? Luka plus 400, Steph plus 500, Giannis, Embiid, and LeBron, and several others at plus 1,200 as well. How do you feel about the latest Vegas odds when it comes to MVP?
Well, there's a scenario in which I could see every one of these guys winning MVP.
Sure.
Like if the Mavericks are a top 3 team and Luka averages 30 plus, I could see him winning the MVP. If Steph Curry has a season for an entire 82-game slate like he had after the All-Star break last year, in which he put forward one of the best offensive displays that we've ever seen, he could win MVP. If the Warriors are back with a healthy Klay Thompson, Giannis has a lot of momentum considering he's coming off that NBA Finals MVP, and he's already won a couple of league MVPs. And then if Joel Embiid really puts the team on his back during all of this Ben Simmons controversy and drama.
If he goes out now, averages like 31
I think he would have won last year if he didn't get injured. That paved the way for Nikola Jokic to win MVP. At 7-1 odds, that's pretty good value. And then LeBron James and Kevin Durant, both at 12-1 odds. Let's say the Lakers come back, they're the number 1 seed, and by far and away they're the best team in the NBA. LeBron could win it, and then KD is always a walking bucket to win MVP.
How disrespectful are we being to Jokic? He's not even in the top 5.
I know.
He won it last year.
I just don't think he's going to win back-to-back.
Probably not, but man, that's pretty disappointing for him. Shout out your favorite player in the comments. Maybe it's one of those guys. Maybe it's someone else. Let us know who your favorite player in the NBA actually is right now. We'll go ahead and take a look at the title odds as well. This is the most recent odds here. You got to wonder if these Nets odds start to shift here, Chase, with the whole Kyrie Irving situation. You got the Lakers at plus 300 and then defending champs at plus 900.
If I had to put money on a team right now, I wouldn't put money on the Nets. First of all, there's not really good value, and we don't know how often Kyrie Irving is going to be available for Brooklyn because there's a chance that he doesn't play any of the home games in Brooklyn. Lakers at plus 300 at 3-1 odds. It's decent value. I'm kind of looking, if you want value, like true value, Bucks at 9-1 odds, Warriors at 11-1 odds. I really wouldn't take the Jazz. I think the Bucks and Warriors have the best odds on that list.
I think the best value play is the Bucks at plus. I mean, they
think
won
so,
it
too.
last year.
Yeah.
I mean, they're at least in the mix, if nothing else. So, hey, NBA season just around the corner. Preseason continues to get underway as we get to see, kind of that first sniff of these 30 teams before basketball officially gets back on October 19th. I can't wait, and we'll continue to have you guys covered here at Chat Sports. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. Myself, Chase Sr. will have you guys covered on all things NBA throughout the regular season. Once trade deadline almost gets here in March, that's when things really ramp up, and then, of course, the postseason and next offseason as well. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. Laker fans, we're going to take a look at some preseason headlines, news, and rumors. But first, like this video if you think the Lakers can make the finals this year. Hit that thumbs up icon. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. We're breaking down some of the top Lakers storylines during the preseason on any given Thursday by Chat Sports. But before we get into those storylines, hit that thumbs up icon if you think the Los Angeles Lakers are able to make the finals this year. And Chase, I know you think that they can make the finals this year.
I do. This is an organization that is all in for this upcoming season, and given the talent that they have on this roster, they are very, very good. They're very, very deep. I still think LeBron James is a top 2 player in the NBA. Anthony Davis is a generational talent. He's a superstar. As long as he's able to stay healthy, I think the Lakers are in the mix. I'm excited to see what Russell Westbrook is going to be able to do. Is he willing to take a back seat to the King as well as AD? And then after that, there are so many pieces that really just fall into play as far as just complementary pieces around LeBron James and AD. So this team really, really compelling for me, and I do think that they can win a championship. I'm not concerned as much about their age as some other people are, because all that matters to me is this upcoming season.
So like the video if you think they can win it all. I'm going to take you through some preseason storylines here. LeBron James, this is number one for me. Can he maximize Russell Westbrook? LeBron, Russ, they've been saying the right things. Russ has especially. He says, look, we've both been winners in this league, but LeBron has been able to win at a higher level. For Russell Westbrook to acknowledge that he hasn't been at the top of the mountain and has not won at the highest level, I think that could signal a big step of growth. Obviously, we got to see these guys play together, but I think if LeBron can get the best out of Russell Westbrook, that is monumental. If that happens, then there's no reason why this team can't win it all this year. Because if Russ can play under control, be that number 3 out of the big 3 of LeBron, AD, and Westbrook, then that's really all you can ask for. So hoping that Russell Westbrook is matured, he's into his 30s now. I think he knows that this is probably his best chance to win a championship with this Lakers squad. Speaking of which, the Lakers and Nets have been kind of the top 2 title favorites throughout the offseason. Which big 3 is better? Obviously, you got Kyrie drama with Brooklyn, but assuming he's there, Kyrie, KD, James Harden, or AD, LeBron, and Russell Westbrook. Type LAL if you think the Lakers' big 3 is better. Type BKN if you think the Brooklyn Nets' big 3 is better. I think you can make an argument for both, but come on, Laker fans. Go ahead and type that LAL. Okay, preseason storyline number 2. Can Talen Horton-Tucker break out? Started in the preseason opener for the Lakers, played pretty well. Saw some burst of him throughout this last season, which is why the Lakers didn't trade him at the trade deadline for a guy like Kyle Lowry. They decided to keep him. And last year, you see the numbers, 9 points per game, over 45% from the field. Once you didn't make that trade to move THT for Lowry, you had to keep him and bring him back. The Lakers did that, 3 years and $30 million. So now that you've paid him, you need to see him break out. You need to see him be a big part of this rotation. I could see a scenario where THT ends up actually starting for this team. We'll see how Frank Vogel mixes and matches all of these pieces he has. Obviously, a big blend of veteran talent with some young guys like THT, Malik Monk, and the rest of this unit. But I'm excited to see if Horton-Tucker can have a true breakout and average double-digit points per game. Laker fans, if you feel good about your squad this year, put your money where your mouth is. Lakers are plus 300 odds to win the NBA championship this year. So go to chatsports.com/Lakers. Use that promo code Lakers125. Put down $100. They'll give you $125 for free with that promo code. Go bet on the Lakers to win win the NBA championship this year, because I think they have a really good chance of doing just that. And then number 3, one that's popped up recently, is Trevor Ariza's injury. I don't know how big of a role he's really going to play this year, but I think he's out 6 to 8 weeks, according to Shams Charania of The Athletic, with an injury. So we'll keep tabs on that. We'll keep you guys updated on everything there. So with him out, one of your 3-and-D guys, you'll see maybe some more Wayne Ellington early on in the season. Maybe you see some more of those younger guys as well. But Trevor Ariza, one of the young guys that is out for the early part of this season. So Chase, these are kind of my headlines here. How are you feeling about where the Lakers sit with 10 or so days from the season opener?
I'm excited to see how everything translates into actual game action. And Frank Vogel has been very vague as to what the starting 5 is going to be. As of this recording, the Lakers have only played 2 preseason games, so we're really not sure what that starting 5 is going to be. We know 3 elements of it: Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. But who else is going to start? Are you going to go DeAndre Jordan? Are you going to go Dwight Howard? Is AD going to play the 5? Are you going to go with a Wayne Ellington, a Kendrick Nunn, or a Malik Monk at that 2 spot? Those are some of the things that I'm monitoring. Of course, I think Trevor Ariza was in the mix to start. This takes him out of that equation to at least start the year. And I do think Talen Horton-Tucker does have some ability to kind of give this team something that it hasn't had. Kind of a playmaker who can do a bunch of different things offensively and defensively, Harrison.
You're watching this from our live show on any given Thursday. If you're watching this in the Lakers Report, of course, subscribe there. But also subscribe to Chat Sports, because Chase and I go live every single Thursday at youtube.com/chatsportstv. 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific time. We talk a lot of Lakers over there as well. So go ahead and subscribe and stay tuned for more episodes. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the Golden State Warriors throughout the preseason. Lots of news and rumors coming out. Obviously, injury storylines continue to be prevalent. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. here. Golden State looking to be a contender here this year, so Chase cooked up 3 storylines that are kind of making their ways through the headlines of the NBA right now.
Yeah, let's take a look at Golden State Warriors, specifically James Wiseman. He's coming off that meniscus tear, and I thought last year as a rookie, he had some really, really good highs and some really, really bad lows. Clashed at times with Steve Kerr. His playing time was sporadic. It's unfortunate for him because prior to suffering that injury, he had made his way into that starting lineup for Golden State, and I thought at times he was starting to show why he was the number 2 pick of the 2020 NBA draft. Now, in hindsight, a lot of people are like, I don't know, you could have had LaMelo Ball, you could have had James Wiseman. I think Wiseman's skill set on Golden State does fit nicely if he does make it into that starting 5, but he's not expected to join this team in regular season game action until maybe end of October, maybe even November. It wouldn't surprise me if the Warriors as an organization are very, very conservative with his injury approach and they don't bring him back until December. I think when healthy, he can play. Good rim runner, good athlete. I really, really would like to see him stretch his offensive game out to the 3-point arc to make him really, really dangerous. But I do want to ask you this. If you could go back in hindsight and do a redraft and select either James Wiseman or LaMelo Ball, who would you go with, Warriors fans? Type JW for James Wiseman, type LB for LaMelo Ball. Get those votes in the comment section down below. Preseason storyline number 2 for the Golden State Warriors. It's all about Klay Thompson's recovery, and that's really the overarching theme for this upcoming year and the biggest story for the Warriors in 2021-2022. If Klay Thompson is able to get back to that all-star caliber form that he was at from 2014 to 2019 when he was making it to all-star games and he was lighting it up from deep and he was one of the premier defenders across the NBA when it came to guarding some of the best wings across the association, Klay Thompson was superb. I mean, he really was a good lockdown defender and a guy who you could rely on to not have to dribble the basketball that much. That's why he fits so nicely alongside Steph, Draymond, and KD. He could just be a catch-and-shoot guy or a couple of dribbles and knock down some threes. If Klay Thompson returns back from that ACL tear and that Achilles tear to be an all-star caliber player, not even that maybe, just be a very, very solid player, man, Golden State could be dangerous, and I think they could get back into that championship contention. Producer Jeremy Chuggs cooking up this question for you. How confident are you in Klay Thompson coming back to full form? Scale it for me from 1 to 69, 1 being not confident at all, 69 being very, very confident.
Very nice.
Very, very nice. Preseason storyline number 3. And it's really the biggest preseason storyline that we continue to follow here on Warriors Today. It's the emergence of Jordan Poole. Preseason game number 1, he drops a 30-piece, was a playmaker, a guy who put the ball on the deck, was making it rain from deep. He was dropping some deep threes, and everybody has been raving about his work ethic and the passion that he's put into him becoming a much better player.
It's a pool party.
It's a pool party. Let's go. Awesome headline. Producer Jeremy just killing it with the graphics today. But Jordan Poole, it looks as though he's going to occupy that starting spot for Klay Thompson until he gets back. And then Steve Kerr was asked, hey, when Klay does come back, is Jordan Poole going to start? And Steve Kerr basically said, I don't really envision, if he continues to play this well, Jordan Poole not being in that starting 5. So could Andrew Wiggins maybe come off the bench and Poole is in that starting 5? That's something that we're going to continue to monitor, because this guy in the preseason and in training camp has been balling out, playing excellent basketball. And if you look at the trends from last year after he got called back up to the G League, it's really not much of a surprise. So, like this video, if you think that Jordan Poole is going to have a breakout season, he started to break out after the All-Star break last year. Could he average 15 to 20 points per game per night, considering that the defensive focus for opposing teams is going to be fully on Steph Curry and Klay once he comes back? I think that's a possibility, like the video, if you think Jordan Poole can break out this year. What do you think, H. Graham?
Yeah, so I like all these headlines. Obviously, to me, the biggest wild card is Thompson's health. I mean, I think we all know that. That goes without saying. We'll see when he returns. If he is healthy by the playoffs and close to full form, this team is dangerous regardless of what their seed is. Obviously, it would be a bonus if Wiseman gets healthy and is actually a real starting contributor. But with Jordan Poole, I like what I was seeing. I thought last year he really took advantage of opportunities to kind of become a real player in this league. I think his rookie year was like, is this guy going to be something? Well, I think there's no doubt he's part of this rotation. The question is, can he be maybe not a cornerstone, but like a legit starter type or a legit, volume 6-man type? I think that's very much a possibility with him starting to emerge, like you've said. So I think that Golden State, I think, is the biggest wild card in the NBA. I really, really do. I think they could win it all. I think they could miss the playoffs if certain things don't go their way.
Depending on
a lot of it depends on health, and a lot of it depends on if Steph is still an MVP candidate, which I definitely think he could be. Who's going to be the better team this year out west? Type LAL for the Lakers, type GSW for the Warriors. We just talked about both these teams here on Any Given Thursday. We'll get some shout-outs. We'll let some answers come in. The obvious answer is the Lakers, Chase, but if Thompson's healthy in a best-of-7 series, who knows, man?
Yeah, I think it's the Lakers, so I'm typing my LAL. You also have Hannah in the chat saying, hi, Harrison, miss you. How cute.
She is in the chat.
How cute.
There she is.
Love that.
There she is.
That's awesome.
Sometimes she'll tell me when I get off. Hannah. Sometimes she'll tell me when I get off work, like, hey, I was in the chat. And I'm like, oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah, I've had some buddies say, hey, I was in the chat. I'm like, yeah,
we're
so
getting
hard
hundreds
to see
of comments.
Yeah,
appreciate
that's
you.
Awesome, though.
Hey, Hannah, go take your nap. I know it's been a long day getting your laptop fixed. I know you were just getting down to take a nap, so you do that. You deserve it. Appreciate you. Appreciate you for tuning in. You know I love you. I love you.
Got to do with it.
They're singing there.
Love?
Hey, I missed her. She was gone for like 10 days.
Dude, I know.
That's a long time, man.
I saw a lonely man when I was sitting next to you watching college football last week. You just weren't the same.
We had a good time, but I was missing my other half. There's no doubt. Marriage is just different. All right, Tom Downey burner account. Can you discuss the COVID for teams home and away? I think this was in reference to Kyrie and the Nets.
Yeah, and Andrew Wiggins.
So it's only San Francisco and New York City, I believe.
Toronto as well. So there are protocols in Toronto where if NBA players break protocols and they're unvaccinated, they could face up to 6 months in prison.
I mean, should they just play in Tampa again to avoid that?
Well, I'm sure the organization doesn't want to.
Yeah,
but for opposing teams, it has to be a hassle, especially when you cross the border. You have to go through all these regulations.
Going into Canada is very challenging right now,
yes.
and it has been for well over a year.
Traveling internationally.
Yeah, in general, international.
I mean, a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's definitely something else. Tom Downey just Burner's account. He's just pacing the show today. Who you got? Penn State at Iowa. I'll tell you what. Stay tuned, because we're going to go through the week 6 matchups of the week. Plus, we'll give our picks against the spread. Little teaser. We're talking Penn State, Iowa, baby. That might be the game of the week, especially when it has college football implications on the line. So stay tuned for that. it should be a fun matchup. Should be a classic Big Ten game. I don't even know where we're going next. Oh, speaking of college football, though, we're going to give you an updated look at the top 10 candidates to replace Clay Helton at USC. There's been a lot of chatter. It's going to be a long, drawn-out process, but we have a cooked-up new top 10, so stay tuned for that here on Chat Sports. He's Chase Sr. I'm Harrison Graham. You're watching Any Given Thursday live on Chat Sports every Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific time. We love to talk college football because Chase and I are real ones. On today's show, we're going to take a look at the updated top 10 candidates to replace Clay Helton at the head coach of USC. Just some background, Helton was fired almost a month ago now on September 14th. It's been up and down since then for SC. That record actually isn't even updated, but who cares? The Trojans aren't even a factor. Coaching search is ongoing, won't be rushed into making a decision. That's been true throughout. I wouldn't expect the decision to become before the end of the regular season. A lot of candidates, Chase, have been connected to this job opening, so it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out over the next couple of months. Obviously, USC has to navigate through this season, but the real storyline there is who's the next head coach going to be.
And it's been a wide-ranging list of candidates
for
this gig, which is one of the best gigs out there. Now, what's going to happen with Ed Orgeron and LSU? If
that's
that
the
job
X factor.
Becomes available, that's probably the best opening in college football. But USC is doing its due diligence. They're looking at college coaches. They're looking at former NFL head coaches. They're looking at NFL offensive coordinators. And I like that. You kind of got to stretch wide to try to get the best candidate available. And obviously coming up, we'll take a look at some of those candidates.
Look, USC knows they have to get this hire right because they haven't had one right in a while. So predict it for us. Who will be the next head coach at USC? This will be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, scroll on down, go to the pinned comment, reply to this, and then come back up, and we'll get into our top 10 candidates. All right, we'll reveal from 10 to 1, and this is basically a combination of names that have been mentioned and names that Chase and I are interested in that USC should go after. So at number 10, Bill O'Brien. I don't think either of us are super high on him, but he was okay at Penn State with the fallout of Joe Paterno, did some decent things.
I think he was better than okay.
Yeah.
He stabilized the program,
yeah.
And that then led to James Franklin taking over and making it a top 10 perennial program.
I think as a pure coach of the Texans, he actually was fine. He should have not been the GM, though.
No.
And that was very clear. And
he's won a lot of games.
And he's rebuilding his image at Alabama, calling plays there, doing a great job with Bryce Young. We've got him at number 10. There's better guys out there, but I think he's someone that could be in the mix. At number 9, a name that was talked about early on, but not a lot of chatter recently, Chase, but someone I would still have interested in, Eric Bieniemy. And there's been some chatter that USC would like to hire an NFL coach, this being the Chiefs' offensive coordinator.
Colorado was in on Eric Bieniemy because he went there and obviously has a lot of ties to that university. He turned that job down to go back to Kansas City as their offensive coordinator, where he's done a terrific job with helping to develop Patrick Mahomes and having one of the league's most explosive offenses. He has been quoted in the past as saying, if there was one college job that were to come open that I would be interested in, it would be USC.
Yes.
I think he'd be great as a play caller. I think he'd be able to build a good staff because he's been in the NFL for a long time. And in terms of recruiting, everybody raves about this guy. So I think he'd be able to get along well with the athletes and their families and really make a strong impression.
When you hear these Chiefs players, especially these young guys, they rave about him.
Yes,
they absolutely love him. So I think he's an interesting candidate. He doesn't call plays for the Chiefs, but Andy Reid has given him the seal of approval. So I think that goes a very long way. Should USC hire an NFL coach, whether that being an NFL head coach or an NFL offensive or defensive coordinator or a position coach, of course? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Should USC go to the pro ranks like they did with Pete Carroll almost 20 years ago? At number 8, Jeff Hafley. This is a name I like. Maybe he's not ready for this type of job, Chase, but was the DC at Ohio State. Really like the work he did there. What he's done in a short amount of time at Boston College, very competitive. They should have beaten Clemson last week. Not that Clemson's great this year. They're 4-1 this year. He's got them going bowling every year. This is Boston College, okay? This is a middle-of-the-pack, at best, ACC program. They're probably going to win 8 or 9 games this year. He brings attitude. He brings injury. He's young and energetic, enthusiastic. I like Jeff Hafley a lot. Maybe this isn't the time for him to get a premier job, but I think he's coming, and I think he's a guy that people should start to know about about and learn about in the very near future, Chase, because I'm a big fan of what he's done in a short amount of time.
It's pretty crazy to see how competitive Boston College has been
Very
over the last
competitive.
year plus, and how better they've gotten over time since that disaster of Steve Adazio.
You can just tell they're well coached.
They were really just a 500 team with Adazio. They seem so much more legit and competitive with Jeff Hafley.
Well, we know Joe Brady's a big name out there. I would have him higher on this list, but again, it's a combination of names that are realistically in the mix and guys that we like. It really applies to Kellen
This
Moore as
doesn't
well.
seem realistic.
We'll talk about Brady and Moore here. We'll just kind of tie them together. I would have them higher. But I think both these guys have real shots of being NFL head coaches next year, and I would rather take that than going to USC, right?
Joe Brady and Kellen Moore are two names that I would make them tell me no.
Yes,
So I
agree with
would
that.
put the bag on their desk and say, here is a large sum of money for you to come in and bring USC football
Push
back.
it back to my side of the table.
Push it back to my side of the table. I want you to tell me no. And until you do that, I'm going to keep trying. Joe Brady did terrific work with Joe Burrow when he won the Heisman and the national championship. LSU hasn't been the same offense since. And he's gone into the NFL, and his offense has translated. Did a really good job with Teddy Bridgewater. He's brought Sam Darnold back.
Former
And then
USC
Kellen Moore-
quarterback Sam Darnold.
Yes, exactly.
He saved him.
Kellen Moore has Dak Prescott playing like an MVP candidate.
Yep.
Jason Garrett deserves credit for how Dak Prescott entered the league and developed, but Kellen Moore has taken him to a truly elite level. Dak's pre-snap recognition has been great. The play design has been beautiful. Kellen Moore and Joe Brady would be no-brainers.
Both
for me.
these guys are in their early 30s. You could have your next coach of the next 25 years if this goes right. And
Yep.
they're young, they're energetic. I think they relate to young kids.
I think they like the NFL game too much, though.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, look, if you can get an NFL head coaching job, it's hard to turn down.
Yeah.
I mean, there's maybe 5 college jobs that are more valuable than being a head NFL coach. I don't know if USC's in that category at this point.
Not at this point.
I think
Has
it's
the potential to be, though.
like if you're Kellen Moore and the Bears job opens up and you could work with Justin Fields.
Rather go to
Wouldn't you
Chicago.
go to Chicago
Major
over
market,
USC? I mean,
historic franchise.
it's interesting. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. Chase and I love talking college football, and if we continue to get subscribers on these videos, we'll keep talking it for you guys. youtube.com/chatsportstv, and join us every Thursday live for any given Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern and 2 o'clock Pacific. Let's get into the top 5 here. Okay, Matt Campbell. Maybe he's lost, a little bit of juice because Iowa State's not quite as good as we thought this year. I still think he's very highly touted in this sport. Iowa State was maybe a very small notch ahead of Kansas when he took over that job. He took them to the Big 12 title game last year, won a New Year's Six Bowl, I believe the Fiesta Bowl, over Oregon a year ago. He's winning 8 or 9 games a year at Iowa State. Iowa State, not Iowa, Iowa State.
And beating Oklahoma.
Yeah, he beats Oklahoma last year, almost double dips them in the Big 12 title game, loses by a field goal. He's doing a great job. Maybe they're disappointing a bit this year, but I can promise you this, ADs around the country continue to call him and his agent because they really, really like what he's all about. Number 4, Anthony Lynn. We talked about him last week, Chase. The chatter of the NFL being an interest from USC. Let's go get an NFL coach. He coached in LA with the Chargers. We got him at number 4 because there's been a lot of, rumors around him.
For the same qualities that we spoke about Eric Bieniemy. Now, I'm not sure Anthony Lynn is on the level of being an offensive mind that Eric Bieniemy
Agreed.
is at. And also, Andy Reid has a great coaching tree throughout the last 20 years. He's produced a lot of quality coaches. Anthony Lynn doesn't come from the same head coaching tree. But yeah, like you mentioned, he coached in Los Angeles. He doesn't really have any ties directly to USC, but he knows that area well. I think his NFL pedigree, because he played in the league, he's coached in it for a long time, would certainly help him out. And maybe from a play calling standpoint, he would have an edge on a lot of college defensive coordinators because he was at the top of the top in the National Football League. And I like his personality as the face of a program and the personality leader of a program and a culture changer.
We have to include Urban Meyer, who's in the headlines for all of the wrong
Shelley's
reasons.
off Twitter now.
Let me be very, very clear. I would not do this. I don't think I would do this. And I know he's not super old, but he feels old for his age. I can't remember the last time, and Jeremy Chugs, he's grinding like Urban Meyer at the nightclub, and not even a nightclub, just like a bar restaurant. His own, by the way, in the state of Ohio.
The hand placement was questionable.
Yeah, it's there could have been some legal ramifications if that young lady wanted there to be, but we'll leave that to the authorities. The bottom line is, the guy wins games.
He does. 80% of them throughout his career. Maybe
I
even more.
wonder if he's kind of past his prime, because I don't know if the energy is what it once was. You look at him in the sidelines in these press conferences, and this goes back to his last year at Ohio State, by the way. This is not just Jacksonville. I don't know if he has it anymore, man. I don't know how desirable he is to want to coach. I don't know if the energy necessary is there. And I've also heard that he values the relationship with Ohio State too much to go coach in another blue blood college football program, which is why he went to the Jags.
To me. Yeah,
maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but I don't know. He's at number 3. He's won a lot in college. He's a top 5 college coach ever based on wins and losses, but man, this is a tough sell, especially
with a lot of baggage.
Especially at this point in time. Look, someone put it to me great. I'll actually give Minnie Coop in the office credit. He said his dad told him this. Urban Meyer is like Rick Pitino. You're going to win a lot of games. It's going to come at a big cost and a lot of baggage, and the public perception is not going to look good, and it's not going to last long. Yeah. Like, if you hire Urban Meyer, you're hoping you get 5 years out of it. And if you're USC, do you want that?
And there could be some sanctions.
Do you want a short-term solution? He's on the list, and we'll ask you guys. Clearly, y'all can tell I'm having a tough time with this. Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. Would you hire Urban Meyer? Is SC that desperate, Chase? Has it gotten that bad?
If I was the AD, I would make the call. My first option would be Lane Kiffin. My second option might be Urban Meyer, because at the end of the day, all I would really care about in that position is bringing USC football back, winning games, and getting back to national prominence. And I think Urban Meyer would be able to do that. Now,
there's a lot of good
we
coaches
talk about Eric
out there.
Bieniemy and Anthony Lynn being character leaders of a program and great faces for a university. I'm not sure Urban Meyer would be that. I'm not sure about his moral compass, but he gets paid to win football
I am
games.
sure about his moral compass, and there's 20 years of evidence of it being very questionable.
Exactly.
So, let us know. All right, we'll get to the top 2. Luke Fickell, look, the AD connection, right? Mike Bohn hired him at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's probably about to run the table, and they might actually be the first group of 5 team to get into the college football playoff, because the Pac-12 and ACC have pretty much played themselves out of it. So, I mean, if you lead Cincinnati to the freaking college football playoff, I mean, what he has done there has been unbelievable, Chase.
It has, and he's such a good defensive mind, too. You watch Cincinnati play defense. They shut down Notre Dame last week.
Oh, totally.
And he has made Cincinnati a realistic contender to get into the college football playoff. If they run the slate and go undefeated, they have a tough enough schedule, and the American Athletic Conference is competitive enough for Cincinnati to be considered.
And I think the Pac-12 and ACC are basically cooked.
Yes.
So, I mean,
that's what opens up an avenue for them to make
Cincinnati wins out. I mean, you got to like their chances of getting in. At number 1, James Franklin. This continues to be the name that gets the most buzz. The LA Times put out an article kind of categorizing from, hot to cool, and they had no one in the hot category, but they have James Franklin as the only coach in the warm category. I still think he's going to leverage a raise yet again at Penn State, which is what he should do, especially since Penn State might win the Big Ten this year.
I'll continue to say this. I covered Penn State for a little while, and I think James Franklin has done an unbelievable job of bringing Penn State back, working off the momentum that Bill O'Brien had built up. Look, if you're James Franklin, you have a top 5 team, you go out and you beat Iowa, you're going to be in the mix for the college football playoff. Still games remaining against Iowa, Michigan, and Ohio State. If you run the table, you're a shoo-in for the college football playoff. You have one of the best defenses that you've ever had, probably the best, with pros littered all across the field. You have the top recruiting class in 2022, so the pipeline is there to continue this momentum and continue the success. Use that leverage to make Penn State pay you more. That's what I'm doing if I'm James Franklin. $8.5 million or somewhere in that neighborhood. That's his salary right now with Penn State. That goes a longer way in PA than it does in California with those taxes. And you have everything there. Nationwide brand, great fan base. One of the best atmospheres in college football. The players are there. You've churned out pro products over time. If I'm James Franklin, I'm staying put at a sure thing as compared to going to something that has potential but is unsure.
So we asked you guys at the beginning, and this is our 5-1 candidates, Matt Campbell, Anthony Lynn, Urban Meyer, Luke Fickell, and James Franklin. So let us know what you think. Who will be the next head coach at USC? Maybe you didn't know when we asked you earlier. We went through our candidates. If there's another name out there, you can type that. But just type one of the 10 names we typed out for you guys. Who will be leading USC's football program next season? All right, let's see what the folks are saying. Let's see how interested our audience is in
Clayton
this.
Lockhart saying, "Put your drink down, dude."
I'm going to pull it up
I can't
just because
stop
you
drinking.
said that,
I'm
Clayton.
sorry, Clayton. I'm actually going to finish this because you said that.
Clayton, it's
so
our show.
Yeah.
If I want to drink, I'm going to drink.
Yeah,
So
I'll continue to drink. Maybe I'm an alcoholic. What if I can't help it?
that's what this job does. I mean,
we signed up for this, Clayton.
Tom Downey's burner account says Urban Grinder Meyer. Chugs was grinding during that Urban segment. Oh man, what were people saying earlier?
You must be smoking
Pete Carroll
as well as drinking from Clayton.
Okay.
It's illegal in Dallas.
Pete Carroll, which means
Can't say it doesn't happen.
Pete Carroll going back to USC from Pete. I don't see that, but I don't hate it. I'll be honest.
dope.
I don't hate it.
That'd be pretty
Retirement project. He's like
Hey,
70.
let's
Get him
go.
back where they need to go, and then
I like
hand it
it.
off to a young guy.
Yeah.
Hey, man, who knows?
Carson Palmer as the USC head coaching
No way,
job.
man.
No, it does.
Does he have any coaching pedigree? Like, does he even want to
I
coach?
think he's doing some consulting now, but I think
Yeah.
that's about
Guys, somebody that's not on the list, somebody that needs consideration, a great coach, Graham Harrell.
No.
it. Yeah, you're just saying that because you're a North Texas
He's
homer.
the USC OC. They're not hiring anybody
Let's
within this
go.
current staff. I can pretty much guarantee that. Lane Kiffin. Chase is high on Kiffin on the list. We didn't include him because they fired him once already. Like
I'd be all in, man.
I wouldn't mind it,
I'd
but
be
I just
all in.
don't. I don't think he would be in. I think he's like, I've been there. I've done that. I'm not
just waiting for Nick Saban to retire or
I'm not.
Ed Orgeron to get canned.
Look, I think he's doing his thing at Ole Miss right now. I think he's content and happy at the moment. I think he would like that Bama job
Tom
if it
Herman.
opened up. Yeah, Tom Herman ain't it. I'll tell you that. They hired Tom Herman. That's a freaking
Deion
disaster.
Sanders and Eddie George from Tom Downey's burner account.
People have said Deion. I just don't see it, man.
Yeah.
Like I don't see it. But hey, Drinking Hand says, "Drink up, boys." Hey, cheers to that, my friend.
I got to crack another beer. Shout out to Lockhart, Clayton.
We're gonna talk some more NBA training camp stuff.
Oh, Clayton said, Harrison and Chase, I was talking to the guy calling himself Drinking Hand saying Lakers won't make the playoffs. So we bodied you for no reason.
We
Thanks
apologize.
for being a good sport.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate that.
When we get bodied, we send the body below back.
Exactly.
That's just how it happens.
No one bodies me and doesn't get a counter body. That's just how things go.
Shout out Clayton.
We're going to talk about the Mavs. We're going to talk about the Celtics here. Let's get you guys caught up on some of the preseason headlines across the association. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. discussing Dallas Mavericks preseason headlines here on Any Given Thursday by Chat Sports. We go live on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel every Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific time. Chase, I've cooked up a few storylines here for the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, you got a new head coach in Jason Kidd.
Yep.
You've got Kristaps Porzingis coming back. It appears him and Luka have made amends. We'll see if that ends up actually being the case. But if you want more Dallas Mavericks videos, hit that link below. It's youtube.com/MavsTV. While producer Jeremy figures things out on the graphics side, what are some of your early thoughts on the Mavs coming into this year?
I think it's a really big season for the Dallas Mavericks as well as Luka Doncic. I can't believe this franchise has not made it past the first round of the NBA playoffs going back to 2011 when they took down the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals. That's a long time for a team in a major market with an owner in Mark Cuban who's always willing to invest to put a winning team on the floor. And they've won a lot of games over time. This is the year where they have to make a statement.
Gotta win a playoff
Luka
series.
has to put the team on his back again, and they actually have to get past the first round.
So let's get into some of these storylines here. Number one, speaking of J. Kidd, the new head coach, up-tempo offense? Well, through one preseason game, that appears to be the case. And that would be getting back to what this Mavericks team did a couple of years ago when they had the best offensive efficiency in NBA history, the year of the bubble. No offense was better in the history of the sport based on at least the numbers, right? I'm sure there's been better offenses, but It seems like the Mavs are committed to getting back up and down the floor, playing up tempo, trying to run and gun and beat people out in the open court. And I think that's a good idea because they got enough shooters. Luka can run the fast break. You got KP who can kind of play that Dirk role as a trailing three-point shooter type. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Play fast, move the ball, get other guys involved, and I like that aspect of what Jason Kidd appears to be bringing. We'll see what the rest of the preseason looks like, but so far it tends to be that this team is not going to play slow. They don't want to play in the half court. They want to run a gun throughout this season. Now the question is, can Luka and KP play well together? They have at times, but there's obviously been a lot of injuries to Porzingis. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Can Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis play well together this season? Well, at least according to reports, these guys are on the same page. Someone I trust has told me that they had a kind of a powwow, kind of a, hey, let's bury the hatchet moment, because let's be honest, these two guys need each other to succeed and to win a lot of games. That's just the bottom line. Luka Doncic, he's a bona fide superstar. We know that. We know what he's about. He's the leading front runner to win MVP based on odds, but as we saw in the Clippers series last year, he can't do it all alone. He can do a lot alone, but he needs a sidekick, and that, of course, is why this team traded for Kristaps Porzingis a couple of years ago. There's been a lot of injuries. There's been some drama, but I think revamping the staff, getting rid of Poker Bob, that guy's a total stiff, and having these two guys sit down and be men and say, hey, we need each other to succeed. Let's bury the hatchet. It sounds like that has happened. Obviously, we got to see how they coexist during the regular season, but if they can get back on the same page and in each other's good graces, I think there's still some hope for this duo to do a lot of damage together in the Western Conference. And then I wanted to talk about Moses Brown. Moses Brown, who's kind of bounced around as a young player. The Mavs end up picking him up. I can't even remember how they picked him up this season. It was either
so he went to Boston
trade,
in that Kemba Walker
Jay Rich trade,
and then he came back in the
Josh
Jay
Richardson
Rich
trade.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So they threw him back. Athletic big, 7'2", 245, looked really good in the Mavs preseason opener. I think he's going to get some minutes in this rotation, which kind of makes things interesting. Could Willie Cauley-Stein get cut and not make this roster? I don't think that'll be the case. I think he's pretty safe. I think it'll come down to Trey Burke or Tyrell Terry. But I like Moses Brown's energy. He can score around the basket, 55% from the floor a year ago, 8.5 points, almost 9 rebounds. He really cleans up the glass. He can block shots as well. I think this could be a player to watch out for that not a lot of Mavs fans know about just yet. He's got some real potential, and I think he is a name to keep an eye on throughout the preseason and then on into the regular season as well. Will this be a breakout season for Moses Brown? Type B for breakout, type N for nah, you're saying too much. And that's very possible. We'll see how Jason Kidd kind of manages his rotation minutes, but they're going to play a lot of up-tempo, you kind of could expect more substitution patterns as well. B for breakout, N for nah, let us know. Chase, give me a couple of thoughts on these headlines if you have any more thoughts on this squad before we get to opening night here.
Yeah, really quickly, I think Jason Kidd has learned from his past failures with the Milwaukee Bucks and Brooklyn Nets. I like the hire at the time. I'm looking forward to seeing what Nico Harrison can do. I think the jury is still out with him. Luka and KP, I'm not really buying into the fact that they're on the same page and now all of a sudden they're best friends. Only time will tell.
They don't need to be best friends.
I do hope that Jason Kidd puts Luka and KP in a better position for them to both
That's
be
really
successful.
what matters, right?
Because KP in the playoffs, it was just a weird fit with him hovering around the perimeter, kind of just stuck in the corner. Moses Brown breakout, I could see it. I really could, because the Mavericks are somewhat thin there, and he showed me in spurts last year that he could be a pretty solid and active player.
So if you're a Mavs fan, hit that subscribe button on our Mavs channel, youtube.com/MavsTV. Our preseason headlines continue with the Boston Celtics. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. here on any given Thursday. You can watch us live on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel every single Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. Chase, you've cooked up a few storylines now that the preseason is underway for the Boston Celtics, so I'll let you take it away here. What's cooking in Boston?
I know it's really early in the preseason, right? But Juan Hernan Gomez started for the Boston Celtics in their preseason opener, and I take stock in that because outside of Hernan Gomez, the starting five looked as though it's going to be what it's going to be. Jason Tatum had started. Jaylen Brown did as well. Marcus Smart was your starting point guard, and Robert Williams played at the 5 coming off that big contract extension. So is Juan Hernan Gomez going to start in place of a Josh Richardson, maybe even a Dennis Schroeder? That's what Ime Udoka experimented with, and that's what he's been doing early on in this preseason. Now, he's a big man who can shoot. He can stretch the floor. His numbers have really varied early in his NBA career. At times, he's been a pretty good three-point shooter in stretches, but he's been very, very inconsistent, and that could be a problem throughout the course of an 82-game regular season schedule. So I'm keeping my eyes on that development if Hernan Gomez is going to start, because that would come as a big surprise for me. Who's going to play point guard? Marcus Smart, as I just mentioned, started that preseason game. So it looks as though Ime Udoka is going to go with Marcus Smart as the starting point guard, not Peyton Pritchard and not Dennis Schroeder. And this is an unorganic approach because Marcus Smart is not an organic option at the point guard spot. He's never really been a true point guard in his career. He's come in off the bench. He has been a spot starter and a consistent starter at times, depending on the season. We know about his defense. His offense is very erratic because he can be so up and down there. How will he handle an important position of playing point guard? We know he has the leadership skills to do so, but he's never really mastered or played that role as a true point. So I want to see what Marcus Smart can bring to the table. Is he going to be willing to pass up some of those shots that he has taken in the past to let Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown really be the go-to players in that offense? And can he be that guy who has and displays really good court vision? Again, we know about his leadership. We know about his defensive intangibles. His offensive game has the propensity to be all over the place, but that's something that I'm curious about with Marcus Smart going into this season. It looks as though he is going to be the starting point guard for Boston. And lastly, this is Ime Udoka's first camp, first season, first preseason as the head coach after he got hired. And I thought he said something interesting the other day where he has made it a point of emphasis to tell his team, do not bark or argue with the officials. I don't want to be one of those teams. And we see this all across the NBA of players just going after officials. And it does get old from a viewer standpoint because it's like, what are you complaining about? Because it gets to a point where you're just complaining about every single call. There's a bigger picture here of him setting a foundation, him building a culture that last year with Boston was fractured under Brad Stevens. So not only am I looking out for how Ime Udoka is going to handle his first year as the head coach of this organization, but already in the preseason, he's putting his foot down and saying, you know what, I am not to be messed with. Our culture in the locker room was a problem last year. The way that we played and carried ourselves on the floor was a little bit of an issue, and maybe that's a big reason why we finished 500 last year. Let's play a little over-under now. Sports gambling is legal all across America, so let's do it. Over under 50 wins for the Celtics this year. Last year, they were 36-36 in that 72-game COVID-shortened season. How do you think the Celtics fare in an 82-game regular season slate? Over under 50 wins? Let me know in the comment section down below. H. Graham, what do you think about some of these storylines with Boston?
The point guard thing's very interesting because it appears they're going to give Marcus Smart at least an extended stretch here, right, to see if he can be this team's point guard.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, he better be because they just gave him $77 million.
Right.
And, I like Marcus Smart, but I don't give a player $20 million a year to be, my dirty work man, right, where just a guy who, getting the 50-50 balls and playing good defense, that's valuable. Is it $20 million a year, though? I don't really think so. He needs to be able to at least be a starting caliber point guard. Obviously, Udoka is going to have a lot of focus in his first year as the head coach. Brad Stevens' first year up in that front office. So, I think this is interesting. As long as you have Tatum and Brown healthy, you really just need the rest of that roster to fall into place. And I feel like last year, a lot of weird stuff happened. Tatum got COVID, and even when he came back, it took him a while to get right. It didn't seem like he was quite himself for a while. And so, I just think it's a tricky one. Obviously, Hernan Gomez starting is very interesting.
It is. Yeah.
Maybe they like
again. It's the preseason, but Every other starter played, and every other player played.
I'll be honest, I don't like Josh Richardson. He stunk for the Mavs last year.
He was bad.
I don't know about that fit. Maybe he's going to come off the bench, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. We'll ask you guys this question. Confidence level in Hernan Gomez starting for the Celtics. Chase, 60? I mean,
I was gonna say
I think
70
the
if
problem
I'm
with
being nice.
Boston is they don't have that fifth starter. Who's
69?
that fifth starter? You've got your two big guns, Marcus Smart. Pick a big, Robert Williams, I guess. Who's that fifth guy, though?
It could be Schroeder if you wanted to play him
Schroeder,
off
you
ball.
could go Jay Rich for defense, but, man, they got to figure that out. Are you going to play big or are you going to play small? Scale it from 1 to 100 and subscribe to our Celtics channel. It's youtube.com/CelticsTV. Okay, who's the better team going to be this year? We just asked you guys about both of them. Type DAL for the Dallas Mavericks. Type BOS for the Boston Celtics. Let's just put it this way, Chase. Who wins more games this year in the regular season?
I think Dallas.
Tougher conference, but
They have Luka.
they're more proven, and they have the best
I would
player.
go with Luka over Tatum.
Yeah.
As of now.
Yeah. I mean,
Slight edge.
yeah, it's
Slight
close. I just think Luka's not just scoring, but also creativity ability is just next level.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the best pure scorer that also creates for others outside of maybe LeBron. I mean, that's kind of it, right?
Yep.
I mean, those are the two guys that can create and score at that level. So, DAL for the Mavs, BOS for the Celtics. Rick Bennett, your boy, the 30 bomb. Oh, 30 coming from a Sixers fan from Rick Bennett. I'll believe it when I see it, Rick, but we saw it a lot last week. DAL from him as well. Drink in hand going Dallas, but it's close. Alizai
he
saying
was the
Boston.
king of the 30-piece super chats last week.
He was dropping 30 bombs last week.
Appreciate it, Rick.
Rick, did he send another one?
No.
Oh, okay.
But, Rick, we're talking Sixers here soon, so stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. Here in probably 20 minutes or so, we'll talk about the Sixers. We got to get to some more college football stuff here in a sec. Picks of the week and big matchups of the week, Chase. Yep. Red River Showdown, lots of good
great
stuff.
Matchups, man.
Penn
Kinnick
State,
Stadium's
Iowa.
going to be lit for Penn State, Iowa.
Oh, dude. By the way, their new tradition at the end of the first quarter to wave to the Children's Hospital, awesome. One of the most awesome traditions. Alizai says Boston. Clayton says Dallas. Aram says Dallas. Oh, I think it's time, by the way. Is it time? I think so.
Chugs 40?
I think it's time for Chugs 40.
Chugs 40 time.
Every time we're near the 40-minute mark, which we're within 5 minutes, so that's the rule here. Chugs 40 time here at Chat Sports, where Jeremy Chugs has to chug a beer right away. So
Let's
here
go,
it goes.
boys.
Maybe my favorite feature of the show.
I hear
Chugs
the
40.
gulps, too. That means it's real.
We're in this thing. Let's go.
Not a fake chug from Chuggy.
Chugs
there.
40. He's a real one. By the way, Astros up 6-0 over the White Sox in Game 1. Let's see.
Wait, did y'all hear that?
Looking at some stats here.
I heard some trash cans off of the
Trash cans in the
from the Astros fan.
Hey, Lance McCullers, 6 innings, only 2 hits and 4 strikeouts for the Stros.
Who's
Jordan
pitching for
Alvarez. Lance Lynn got the start, and he got shelled.
Wow.
3 2/3, 5 earned runs.
Okay.
So 6-0, top of the 7th. Astros the home team.
Rick said
so.
the 30 was how I think the Celtics will do. So he thinks the Celtics will win 30 games.
Oh,
Nice
come
burn,
on.
Chugs.
They'll win more games.
They'll
than
win
that.
more.
Chugs just.
It's the Philly fan in Rick, you know?
Hey, man, I can't blame it. If you like what you're seeing, subscribe to Chat Sports, youtube.com/Chat Sports TV. We're going to talk a little college football. We'll take a look at 5 of the biggest matchups, including LSU's game against Kentucky. Is Ed Orgeron on the hot seat? We'll talk about that. And then Chase and I will also give our picks against the spread. So be sure you guys are staying tuned for all of that and more coming up right now. Let's talk a little college football. Week 6 of the college football season is here. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV for more college football videos. I'm Harrison Graham. He's Chase Sr. We're live on YouTube on Chat Sports for any given Thursday. Let's take a look at the Week 6 slate. So what we're going to do is break down kind of the top 5 matchups. We'll kind of go quickly on these games, and then we will take a look at our picks against the spread toward the end of the video, so make sure you guys are staying tuned for that. There's nothing like the Red River Showdown in Dallas, Texas. I still call it the Red River Rivalry, but the advertisement nerds had to go and change it on us. This is always a fun matchup. Doesn't matter if Texas is good or not. It always tends to be a good game, Chase. I think Texas could win this game, man. I really do.
I think Texas can win this game as 3.5-point underdogs.
By the way, yeah,
over-under set at 63
OU
and a
favored,
half.
by the way. We got that backwards.
Yeah.
Plus 3.5 for Texas for anyone who's betting at home.
Ever since Texas made the switch to Casey Thompson, they've been putting up crazy numbers offensively. Spencer Rattler, to me, just isn't it. He just isn't it. I don't see it. I don't see him being a premier quarterback prospect in a system that has produced some of the best college quarterbacks over the last couple of years. So if I'm looking at the betting line, Texas 3.5-point underdogs, I kind of like the Longhorns given the way that they've been playing and the momentum that they have on their side.
I think the key matchup in this one is Bijan Robinson against this interior.
He might be the best back in the
against this interior
country.
defensive line for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's front is pretty solid. Bijan, the offense runs through him. Casey Thompson struggled a bit against TCU, but it didn't matter because Bijan was fantastic. This will be a fantastic matchup. Real quick, plus 3.5 for Texas. Don't get confused there. Number 21, number 6, Dallas, Texas, State Fair. It's going to be lit. Type UT if you got the Texas Longhorns. Chat Sports. Type OU if you've got number 6, Oklahoma. Get your predictions in. Who you got in the Red River Showdown? Let us know down in the comments section. Okay, let's go to the SEC. Arkansas, Ole Miss, top 20 matchup. The Hogs got a bit humbled last week, to say the least, at Georgia, Chase. Ole Miss the same against Alabama. Now, this is kind of an elimination game, right? You lose this game, you're kind of – I mean, you've got a lot to play for, but you got no shot of, being kind of a sneaker playoff / New Year's Six team. So both these teams looking to bounce back this week. Ole Miss 5.5-point favorites.
Yeah, last week I just didn't see a scenario in which Arkansas was going to get blown out. The one scenario in which I did see Arkansas getting blown out is if that offense was anemic from the jump. And they were awful last week against Georgia. Now, Georgia has a bunch of pro players on the defensive side of the football. I think they probably have the best defense in the country. And I think if they had a better quarterback, they'd be the number 1 team ahead of Alabama if those two teams were to match up against one another. But Arkansas was bad offensively, and they kept shooting themselves in the foot on the road in a hostile environment. And here you look at a game where Arkansas, Woo Pig, is once again going to be on the road against an Ole Miss team that I don't think they match up well against. Yes, last week on the show we had talked about Arkansas's defense. They're physical, they're fast, they're back. Sam Pittman has done a terrific job with that program in year 2. They deserve to be ranked. I think this year they've been one of the more impressive, not the best, one of the more impressive teams in the SEC. But I just don't think that defense matches up well against an Ole Miss offense that can light the scoreboard on fire, and an offense in Arkansas is going to have to keep up with the prolific attack of Ole Miss. I'm going Ole Miss, and I think they might cover the 5.5.
Arkansas should be able to get that power running game going a little bit more this week, but I'm kind of with you. I don't see them keeping up with Matt Corral. I think this Ole Miss offense will put up more points this week. Lane Kiffin played to win at Alabama, got stopped on 4th down the first 3 drives of that game, and the game was over. But I respect him for trying to go into Tuscaloosa and win. I think Ole Miss is a tough matchup, like you said. Arkansas will be better offensively, but can they be good enough? Can they find enough big plays? Can KJ Jefferson throw the ball some downfield? They could not throw the ball at all against Georgia. So type ARK for Arkansas, type MISS for Ole Miss. I like Mississippi in this game. I think that the Lane train has got it going there, and with it being at the Grove, Hotty Toddy is going to be fired up.
Oh, yeah.
I think Ole Miss is going to end up winning this game. By the way, 66.5 feels high in this game. The Ole Miss can move the ball.
Arkansas can't really score that
I mean, this
well.
could be like, what if it's like 31-17? I feel like that could definitely be in play.
Lane,
so
I'll have my popcorn ready.
Bet the under. That is the play in this one. ARK for Arkansas or type MIS for Ole Miss. A lot more matchups to get to, but if you want to bet on these games, if you love the under like I do in that one, put your money where your mouth is with BetUS. Open a separate tab and then type this in. Chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code CHAT125. That's going to get you 125% deposit bonus. You put down $100, they'll give you $125 for free, and you guys can make some money all season long at BetUS. Chase and I have done pretty well against college this year. We'll have our picks at the end of the show. We'll be sure to hook you guys up with our picks of the week. Make some money with BetUS. Chase is doing the money. Get those stacks, baby. How about Georgia at Auburn?
That was the Aaron Hernandez touchdown celebration.
Well,
not great.
May he rest in peace. 15.5-point favorites for the Dogs. Bo Nix, Chase, made some ridiculous plays. Like, should we let him rest in peace? I don't know. That's very questionable. Bo Nix made plays last week as I try to get back on track. He's going to have the best game of his career going up against this
coming
Georgia
off the best
defense.
game of his career.
One of the
against
best,
LSU,
yes.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, this is the best defense he'll face this year. Bo Nix, a couple of weeks ago, was on the hot seat. He got benched against Georgia Southern, Georgia State. I don't remember who it was, but he played bad. Played well against LSU. Played good enough to win at Tiger Stadium. I thought that was a big deal. Georgia's a different animal, though. At home, that helps a little bit. 3:30 kickoff in the afternoon. I think Auburn can cover maybe, but I do not love this matchup for Bo Nix against Georgia. I think that defense is going to harass him for 4 quarters.
It was a statement game for Georgia last week, and yes, they were at home, and Arkansas looked overwhelmed. They didn't look prepared for a game of that magnitude because they haven't played in a game in that magnitude in a long time.
By the way, Stetson Bennett going to start again this week.
Stetson Bennett getting the start at quarterback over JT Daniels. Georgia's defense is just way too good against an Auburn offense that has a lot of holes at wide receiver, at offensive line, really at all the skill positions offensively. Auburn has some holes.
They don't have that typical running back.
They can be exposed as well. They haven't been able to get that run game going as well. All of that just kind of falls into the lap of Georgia. I think Georgia's going to overwhelm Auburn.
If Auburn wins this game, it's because Bo Nix is the best player on the field. It's as simple as that.
He's going to have to play and pull out plays out of his ass like he did against LSU, and I don't think you can do that against a Georgia defense.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's like an NFL defense.
So predict it for us. UGA for Georgia, AUB for Auburn. I think Georgia wins. I'm not sure it's close. It's at Auburn. That helps the Tigers a bit, but I don't think nearly enough to go ahead and pull this off. So UGA for Georgia, type AUB for Auburn. Subscribe to Chat Sports if you want more college football videos. Myself, Chase, we love splicing up and chatting college football. College football playoff rankings set to come out here in about a month. We'll try to break those down for you guys as well. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. If you want the best college football coverage on YouTube, that's what we're trying to do. So hit that subscribe button. A couple more games to break down, and then we'll get to our picks of the week. Penn State at Iowa. Basically a pick 'em. It's kind of shifted between a point on either side. Chase, 1.5-point favorites for Iowa. Basically, that tells us that Vegas thinks Penn State is slightly better, but since Iowa's the home team, this game could go either way.
So this game started as a pick'em. Early money came in on Iowa because that number jumped up to 2-point favorites for the Hawkeyes, and now it's gone back to 1.5. Wouldn't surprise me if this continues to fluctuate over the next couple of days as we record this on Friday. When I look at this game, first of all, it's the best game of the weekend. Second of all, the atmosphere at Kinnick Stadium is really, really special. It's one of the best atmospheres in college football and just one of the best settings. This game does start at 4 o'clock Eastern, so we're going to start the game in daylight. Then we're going to see the sunset in the fields of Iowa in Iowa City. It's going to be beautiful for that telecast. Really a spectacle that we haven't seen over the last couple of years because last year we didn't see fans at Big Ten stadiums. When I break this game down, I think the defenses are about even. I might even give the edge to Penn State. That side of the ball has been dominant this year. They're coming off a shutout against Indiana. Indiana has some talent, even though they're down somewhat this year.
6 picks for Iowa's defense last week off Talua Tagovailoa in Maryland, and he's not a scrub.
But I don't expect Penn State to turn the football over
Clifford's
that much.
playing the best ball of his career.
Yeah, he is, and he's making good decisions. He's still a little bit wobbly. He might be wobbly in this game. But defensively, again, I think I give Penn State the slight edge. And then from a skill position player standpoint, I think I go with Penn State here. They have arguably the best wide receiver in the country in Jahan Dotson. Noah Cain is a really good running back. That offensive line has been very good opening up holes for Noah Cain and that stable of running backs and protecting Sean Clifford. This is a huge game for James Franklin, arguably one of the bigger ones in his tenure as Penn State head coach. If he wants that USC gig, this is a big one right here. Now, coaching, I might side with Iowa because when it comes to game management and game strategy, James Franklin can be lacking in that department. I think that's indicated by the spread from the odds makers in Vegas of why they're going Iowa. I'm going with Penn State here, so I'm going to type my PS.
It's going to be tight. I think it comes down to quarterback play. Clifford's played better than Petros this year. Clifford, he's beyond a game manager right now. I mean, and really that's all you wanted was for him to be a game manager.
Playing like he did 2 years ago.
I think Mike Yurcich, the offensive coordinator at Penn State, should win whatever that award is called for coordinator of the year because he's gotten the most out of this quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt. Type PSU for Penn State, type Iowa for Iowa. Keep it simple there. Get your votes in this top 5 matchup. Now, LSU is not ranked, but I wanted to talk about this game, Chase, really for one reason and one reason only. LSU completely melted down late in that Auburn game. They sat on that 19-17 lead for about a quarter.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more just scary as a fan of a team than being up either 2 or 6 points late in a game, because usually that gets you beat. And that's exactly what happened. Auburn, Bo Nix drove them down and beat them. Now LSU's 3-2, already coming off a bad season. They go to Kentucky, who's 5-0 and number 16 in the country. Basically a pick-em, 3-point favorites are Kentucky at home, which tells you this could go either way. I want to know, and I'm going to ask the audience this, and I'm going to ask Chase this as well. If Ed Orgeron, will he get fired if LSU loses this game? I get it, Kentucky's good this year. I get it, they won a national title a couple years ago. This is LSU, though. Things can change quickly at that program. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Is Coach O gone if they lose this game?
I think he could be gone if they lose this game because really, ever since winning that national championship, without the coordinators that he had, DC goes to Baylor, Joe Brady goes to Carolina, this team hasn't been the same. And so they lose against Auburn. They've already lost against UCLA. Their next 5 games, Kentucky, Florida, Ole Miss, Alabama, Arkansas.
They could
realistically lose all 5 of those games, and this season goes from being a hopeful one to a disaster.
Yeah, so get your votes. And by the way, the Broyles Award is the award for the top assistant in the country. Mike Yurcich could win that one. Type your Ys, type your Ns. Will Ed Orgeron get fired if LSU loses to Kentucky? How things can change quickly in the sport of college football. All right, so let's get to our picks of the week here. Bets against the spread here at Chat Sports Any Given Thursday. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. Chase has his 5 picks. I've got my 5 picks. We'll start with Chase here in Week 6. Cook it up for us, Chase.
I think Notre Dame has been a good team to bet on this year because they've been disrespected by the odds makers. Now, I did take them last week against Cincinnati, and they let me down. But a pick 'em on the road against Virginia Tech, do we really think that Notre Dame is going to lose back-to-back games?
I don't see that.
They're far too talented to drop 2 straight. I'm going with Notre Dame in a pick 'em. Stanford has been the Pac-12 assassin and the Pac-12 killer and the Pac-12 beheader of the great teams in that conference.
Friday night game
for
here.
my entire lifetime. This is a Friday night game. Stanford getting 13 against Arizona State, coming off a win against UCLA. Yeah, I'm going with Stanford. Jack Lauderay went to Arizona State. Sorry, you're going to be crying tears after this one. Texas, 3.5-point underdogs. He gives me the double birds. Yeah, screw you too, kid. Texas, 3.5-point underdogs. It's all love. I love Jack. He's great. Texas, 3.5-point underdogs against Oklahoma. Now, I'm kind of swinging here, and I think you have this game as well, Harrison. I just think Texas is playing like the better team.
They are.
And Oklahoma has not impressed me at all this year because Spencer Rattler has not been it. You cannot convince me that he's the number 1 quarterback in this class.
Way.
You also can't convince me that this quarterback class is going to be any good at the college ranks because I don't believe it. So give me the Longhorns in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl getting 3.5. Ohio State, 21.5-point favorites against a Maryland team that got straight up dump trucked by Iowa. I took Ohio State against Rutgers last week. It worked. They were only 15-point favorites. I thought that was disrespectful. Ohio State continues that momentum as they continue to figure things out. Lastly, Penn State over Iowa. This is really about a pick'em game. The line has changed, as we talked about earlier. I think the Nittany Lions win. They have the slight edge defensively. I think they have the edge offensively. Yes, they're on the road. I just think that this year is different for the Nittany Lions. Give me Penn State. My upset pick. This is kind of a popular one among the geniuses like myself as well as Joe Klatt. Syracuse, 6-point home dogs against a good Wake Forest team. Now, under Dino Babers, Syracuse has been a pretty solid team. They're coming off a win against, Florida State. We had picked that game
They lost that
week,
game,
right?
but they did
lost.
cover.
They covered, though.
They did cover.
So I think Syracuse comes back home. They won a couple weeks ago against Malik Willis and Liberty. I like Syracuse to pull off the upset here, and I've been money with my upset picks for them at least covering. So if you want to make some cheddar, hey, hop on board.
So these are Chase's picks. He likes Notre Dame, Stanford, Texas, Ohio State, and Penn State. No over-unders. Over-unders are tough in college, man.
Yeah.
They're very, very tough.
Challenge yourself.
You're dealing with
ATS.
18 to 22-year-olds, and you're trying to figure out how many points they're going to score. It's a big challenge. All right, here are my picks. I also like Texas plus 3.5. I put some cheddar out on the money line. I think Texas wins this game.
Wow, good
Bijan
value
Robinson is the best player in this game. Spencer Rattler played better against K-State last week, but I don't know if it's enough. I think Texas wins this game, and then it blows the Big 12 wide open. I think that really opens things up in this conference. Florida, is that a typo? Is that what you're saying? Does that say – what's the issue? No, it's not a typo. They're 39 points favorites against Vanderbilt,
That's how bad
and I'm
Vanderbilt is.
taking it. Georgia beat Vanderbilt 62-000. I don't know if Georgia's 24 or 23 point
Coming off a
favorite
loss
points
against
better than
Kentucky,
Georgia. Coming off a loss against Kentucky, Florida needs to kick someone's ass. They murder Vanderbilt's one of the worst teams in the country. Notre Dame pick 'em. I'm with you, Chase. It's on the road. Blacksburg will be bumping, but that win over North Carolina in week 1 all of a sudden doesn't really mean anything for Virginia Tech. USC -3 at home against Utah. The Trojans have been just erratic, but Utah hasn't been very good. Their starting quarterback left the program in Charlie Brewer. Basically a pick 'em at home. Come on, you got to beat Utah by more than 3. And then Nebraska +4 against Michigan. I did this last week. I bet Wisconsin against Michigan. I think this is a letdown game for Harbaugh. History would tell us this is the type of game he loses, and Scott Frost has this Nebraska offense cooking finally. Night game in Lincoln. I think Nebraska and Scott Frost get a signature win this weekend. Here's my upset pick. Chase actually had it in one of his picks to cover. I think they went outright.
Ooh.
Stanford on the road at Arizona State. Guys, Stanford
Saucy.
just beat Oregon. I mean, Oregon's the best team in the Pac-12, and Stanford just beat them.
Nice
Ever since the
spread.
quarterback changed to Tanner McKee after that Week 1 disaster against Kansas State, I like what I've seen from Stanford. The offense has woken up. The defense always plays well under David Shaw. I think they beat Arizona State, and really the Pac-12 gets even more interesting after this result. So give me Stanford on the road on Friday night to beat Arizona State on Friday. So what are you thinking, Chase? You like what I'm cooking up this week?
I like Texas getting 3.5. Notre Dame, we're on the same page there. USC against Utah. I know Kyle Whittingham is a good coach, but USC has to win that game by more than a field goal,
come
right?
on. They have to.
Nebraska +4 against Michigan. I think Michigan's in that same category of Penn State of this just being a different year. Big Ten is certainly up.
I'm not convinced. I don't know why.
39-point spread for Florida. I always stay away from
Dude,
that, but that's how
Vanderbilt-
bad Vanderbilt is.
Vanderbilt is
so bad that
bad.
Jeremy thought it was a typo.
I was confused. I was like, did I misspell Florida? No,
Yeah.
I didn't. It's just Vanderbilt sucks.
That's how bad they are.
I'm taking Florida. Those are our picks. Those are some of the top matchups this week. If you want more college football coverage, hit that subscribe button. We jump back to the NFL here. Thursday Night Football, the Rams, the Seahawks. Chase, who you rolling with tonight? And then we'll get to that super chat in a minute.
Yeah, I like the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks win tonight. Chris Carson not playing, by the way, because of that neck injury that he suffered against
So no Rashad Penny or
the Niners.
Carson.
No
So they're
Rashad
down
Penny.
to Alex
Alexander
Collins?
Alexander Collins.
Yep.
I almost said Alex Hamilton.
I thought you were going to say Alexander Madison.
No. Well, similar type of player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, boys. We got a super chat from Tom Downey's burner account. Why all the Astros hate? Didn't the Yanks and Sox cheat with multiple PED players and sign stealing? I'll gladly donate a trash can if that means the Orioles win a World Series. I 100% agree with you, and that's why I went ahead and muted Chase and Harrison for this, because the Astros won the World Series. They earned it, and we have a Red Sox fan in here named Jack Lotteray, who he's in the same boat as me. His team cheated his way to the top, and he denies it. He denies it hard. You got to embrace it. You got to know, hey, we fought, we clawed our way to the top, and we deserve that championship.
Me, Jeremy. Here's the reality, and I've asked Jeffrey Cooperstein, who just brought a trash can in here. Yeah, keep cheering on those 51-win Rangers year after year. The reality is, would you rather cheat and get a title or be the Rangers? You'd rather cheat and get a title.
I would.
It's just a fact.
Look at the New England Patriots.
The Patriots, that's exactly what I've always said. It's the same deal. They were using technology to get an advantage. This is sports. It happens, man. The Astros got caught. It is what it is, man.
Yeah, Jack.
What are people going to say? Hey, what are people going to say if the Astros won it this year? You can't say anything, man.
Say anything.
Like,
Got to give it to them.
6-0 Stros
Go
over
produce,
the White
Jack.
Sox in the
Go
7th.
produce. Do your job.
Worry about Arizona
Do
State.
your job
on
like
Friday
Belichick
night.
would tell you to do.
Yeah, is that Steve Belichick? Is that tongue out Belichick or? All right, let's get back to some of our NBA preseason headlines here. We'll talk about that. Are we doing Sixers first or Knicks? What are we getting to?
Sixers and
we'll
Knicks.
talk about the Sixers first, and then we'll break it down. Yeah, shout out Rick Bennett. Stay tuned. We're talking about the Philadelphia 76ers.
Legend.
Once Jeremy Chugs is ready, he's getting off his Astros tangent there. We'll cook up some Philadelphia 76ers discussion. All right, Chase, you ready to go here,
Ready
man?
to ride.
All right,
Ready to
let's
ride.
do it. Let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers now on any given Thursday. He's Chase. I'm Harrison. You can watch us live every Thursday on Chat Sports, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. A lot of drama with the 76ers, and yes, we'll talk about Ben Simmons. But first, Chase, you want to lead off the latest 76ers preseason headlines with Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, 3 storylines to get to throughout 76ers training camp as well as the preseason. And I think it's a notable development because the future of Ben Simmons is very much in doubt. And I've been on the record saying, do not put Tyrese Maxey in a Ben Simmons trade. Why is that? Because he's everything that we thought Markelle Fultz was going to be. And I think Tyrese Maxey could end up being a top 10 player from the 2020 NBA draft class. That's how much I think of him and how highly I think of him as a prospect and a young player. But so far throughout Sixers training camp, he has been the starting point guard. And in flashes last year as a rookie, I thought he was really, really good. Then he got into the playoffs against the Atlanta Hawks, pretty much saved their asses in that Game 4 in Atlanta, put the team on his back, and they were able to come through with a really big win. And so far, throughout the offseason in NBA Summer League, he was arguably the best player in Las Vegas. And in preseason, he got off to a nice start in that debut against the Toronto Raptors. With more shot opportunities, I think Tyrese Maxey's role will evolve. I think he will become a better offensive player. And I think realistically, if you rely upon him to be a go-to scorer, a creator, a 3-level guy who can really add a lot of diversity to the Sixers offense at the point guard spot and do a bunch of different things, getting to the cup, shooting, step backs, dishing. He could be very good for this team, and he's capable of being the starting point guard. So I want to continue to see that momentum that Tyrese Maxey has built up. He's always been a guy who's worked diligently on his craft, and that's why he is where he is right now. How confident are you, Sixers fans, that Maxey is going to be the starting point guard? Scale it for me from 1 to 50. 1 being not confident at all, 50 being very confident. I'm about at a 40 right now. How about a cup of Joe? Isaiah Joe, rookie draft pick in that same draft class as Tyrese Maxey last year, coming out of Arkansas. Didn't think he was ready to play as a rookie because he had to work on his body. He was somewhat raw, but he, like Maxey, impressed me a lot during the NBA Summer League. Nowadays, there's so much value in guys who can stretch the floor and be consistent knockdown shooters, especially when those guys are really, really affordable. And that's what Isaiah Joe is as a former second-round pick. Preseason debut, played really well against the Toronto Raptors. He showed some of the flashes that he did in the Summer League, as well as last year as a rookie in that short sample size of him just being a consistent knockdown shooter. But it looked as though he really worked on his game from a putting the ball on the floor standpoint, which kind of adds to his offensive arsenal a little bit. And if he can be a part of this rotation, which I think he could be a nice bonus to Doc Rivers' offense, especially without the offensive acumen of Ben Simmons. Lastly, preseason storyline number 3. The standoff between big baby Ben Simmons and the Sixers continues. He continues to just chill out in Los Angeles, despite the efforts of Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Matisse Thybulle to fly out to his brand new lavish home in the LA area to try to bring him back for training camp. And Joel Embiid has went as far as to criticize him and saying it's disrespectful that he hasn't reported to training camp. I think the standoff is going to last for a while. I do not think that Ben Simmons is going to return to Philadelphia to play for this organization once again. He's very sensitive. He has not taken ownership of his failures to develop as a player. He wants to get dealt, and I think it's in the Sixers' best interest to deal him. But it's also in their best interest to wait until they can get an offer that they feel as though is acceptable for a guy who's arguably the best defender in the league, a 3-time All-Star, coming off back-to-back first-team all-defensive seasons. This is a guy who still has a lot of value, special vision, passing, in the full court, At his size, at 6'11", 240 pounds, he's special. And if he adds a jump shot that's competent to his game, he could be really, really dangerous. So from that to this, do you want Ben Simmons to get traded? I do. But are you tired of the Ben Simmons offseason drama? If you are, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. I've seen so many people chirping in the comment section saying, all you do on 76ers Now by Chat Sports is talk about Ben Simmons. Well, yeah, when it's one of the biggest storylines in the NBA,
It is the
we're
biggest.
going to talk about it, and you can make the argument it is the biggest storyline. So like the video if you're tired of this Ben Simmons drama. I'm tired of him because we supported him from day one, and he just didn't grow or expand on his offensive game.
Yeah,
very, very disappointing.
I'm tired of it. Sixers Nation certainly is. They got to figure out a solution here. I think this could drag out to the trade deadline. I really do think that is a very big possibility, so that's certainly going to be interesting. Isaiah Joe's an interesting name to monitor. Obviously, you're hopeful Maxey can run the point, right? I mean, that's what you're hoping for if he can. And if you get a decent piece for Ben Simmons, then all of a sudden you're in a much better position. And make sure you subscribe to our 76ers channel. Chase is passionate about this team. He'll continue to cook out videos for you guys. It's youtube.com/76erstv. Let's talk about some of the top New York Knicks preseason headlines here on Any Given Thursday by Chat Sports. I'm Harrison Graham. He's Chase Sr. NBA regular season just about 10 or 11 days away. So I've cooked up some headlines around the New York Knicks. And hey, early on in the preseason, it looks like this is a revamped offense. Let's talk about it a little bit. You add Evan Fournier. You get Kemba Walker into the fold as well. You assume Julius Randle bounces back from a poor playoff showing. R.J. Barrett should take another step. D. Rose is still on this team. You got a lot of guys that can score the basketball when it was very critical for the New York Knicks to add not just scoring but shooting and floor spacing. And that's what Fournier and Kemba to an extent really provide for this offense. I like what this starting five could look like, and I think there's a lot of depth on this team as well. We know that there's physical defensive attributes that you like under a Tom Thibodeau squad, but now the Knicks may have the offense to go along with that defense. Okay, speaking of Kemba, is he the answer at point guard? Well, first preseason game, he played pretty darn well. Obviously, he loves Madison Square Garden going back to his college days at UConn. He grew up in New York. He has probably been waiting his entire career to play for the New York Knicks. And now, while he still has a lot of good basketball in front of him, in my opinion, if he can stay healthy, it's nice to see him get to embrace this opportunity. I think if he's healthy, this is the best point guard the Knicks have had in quite a while. Hopefully, he can stay healthy and those knees don't end up flaring up on him throughout this season. Is Kemba Walker the answer the Knicks have been searching for at point guard? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Cast your votes down in the comment section. I believe he can be if he's healthy. So let us know and subscribe if you want more Knicks videos at youtube.com/KnicksTV. All right, my third point, and I think this is an important one. Obi Toppin, Emmanuel quickly making that second-year jump. Obviously, Toppin was a bit of a disappointment last year, but he played well in the summer league. He seemed to really attack this offseason. He looked good in the preseason opener. If he can be that stretch four that comes off the bench, I'll say this. You can't have Taj Gibson playing over Obi Toppin. You just can't. Like, that means that Toppin is not developed to the point that you need him to. The shooting percentage was nice last year at almost 50%, but can he knock down that corner three? Can he be more involved? Can he understand his role in the offense and be a good defensive player? That's what they're hoping for. They drafted him in the top 10 for a reason. Hopefully Toppin makes a jump this year. I like what Quickly did last year. He's one of the surprise players as a rookie, averaging over 11 points per game. Let's get that efficiency up. I think that's going to be a key development area for him. Shoots the ball well from three, but overall from the field, not great at under 40%. I think this needs to be a nice combo guard off the bench. And if Obi Toppin and or Emmanuel Quickly prove to be legitimate role players this year, that is a very, very good thing for this Knicks team that already has a ton of depth. So who needs to step up more? Type OT for Obi Toppin. Type IQ for Emmanuel Quickly, who has some high IQ, by the way. Get your votes in right now. OT for Toppin, or type your IQ for Emmanuel Quickly. Chase, these are kind of some of the things I'm looking at, some of the storylines circulating here. What else do you have to add to this Knicks team right now?
Yeah, Kemba Walker is an X factor. He looked as though he was somewhat back in that preseason debut against the Indiana Pacers. Looked really good and spry and, most importantly, healthy.
Yep.
I also think Evan Fournier, shout out to Money Marsh for this point, is an X factor as well. You're paying him a lot of money, right? So if he can average, let's say, 18 to 20 points per game,
Shoot 40%
I think it
from
could
three.
take a mediocre to an above average Knicks offense and make them actually pretty legit. And they just have a bunch of different options that they can hit you with, whereas last year, I don't think that was the case. It was Julius Randle, it was R.J. Barrett, and
They were
Derrick
begging
Rose.
Julius to play hero ball.
That was, and that
in
was
the
pretty much
playoffs.
it. And Derrick Rose was starting games for them, and he was their closer at the guard spot. So now you have a lot of different options offensively, and we know that defensively, Tibbs is always going to have these guys playing well.
Who is going to be the better team this year? Because we just talked about these teams. You know, you would think Philadelphia, but with all the drama with Ben Simmons, maybe it's the Knicks. Type PHI for the Sixers, type NYK for the New York Knicks. Try to be objective with me here, Chase. Who will be the better team? Who wins more games this year?
Look, Philly fans are going to give me slack. I just think with the uncertainty hovering around Ben Simmons, I think the Knicks are the better roster right now.
I mean, imagine if Embiid gets banged up again, which
They're screwed.
unfortunately that happens
Yep.
from time to time.
They'd be
that's
screwed.
that's a big problem. So PHI for the Sixers, NYK for the Knicks. Get your shout-outs in. We got one more segment to go. Appreciate all you guys for rocking with us on today's live show. Jeremy Chugg's killing it, hitting the buttons as well. So appreciate you guys. We can go ahead and jump on into this final one. We'll talk a little Aaron Rodgers, talk a little Pittsburgh Steelers. Could A-Rod end up heading to Pittsburgh after this year? Let's go ahead and get to the final word on today's episode of Any Given Thursday. Hang on one sec. Producer Chugs is he's going full scramble mode. He's
I
like
built
Mike,
him in there,
he's
homie.
like Mike Vick. We'll try and
I built him.
we'll try and find these. Yeah, not with the dogs. He wants to make that very clear. Let's see here. Throw up Thursday Night Football. Let's talk about that matchup a little bit here. We're about, hour 10 away from TNF here, Chase. We got the Seahawks and the Rams.
Yeah.
Gerald Everett out for Seattle as well. So they're out. They're starting tight end and Chris Carson in this one. So
Maybe fade Seattle then.
I don't know if those two guys are enough to fade Seattle, but yeah, I mean, those are a couple of
The
key
magic
contributors.
of Russell Wilson.
What's that line at, by the way? Let's see where we're at here.
It was 3 going into today, and then I think
saw
it
it at
dropped down
2
to
earlier.
2.5. Yeah.
Let's see. Very curious. Let's give it a look here while Jeremy figures things out. 2.5 for the Rams.
Okay.
I got to make this interesting. Who are we betting on here? God.
I think I'm staying away from this game.
Yeah, this is a stay away from game.
I'd
and
love
just
to put some
enjoy
cheddar on it to make tonight very interesting, but I think I have to stay away.
Oh,
really do.
man. The good news is this isn't a Thursday night game that if you don't bet on it, you're not that intrigued. Like, this is intriguing already with the Rams and the Seahawks. So there you go. All right, we're going to get to the final word. Aaron Rodgers, could he be a Pittsburgh Steeler? We'll explore it coming up right now. It's time for the final word here on Any Given Thursday. He's Chase Sr., I'm Harrison Graham. Aaron Rodgers to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Trade rumors have been circulating. It seems like Big Ben's last year in Pittsburgh. Please let it be his last year in Pittsburgh. So, Chase, you cooked up a segment for us. Why don't you guide us through this? There's been a lot of stuff circulating ever since he gave the little wink to Mike Tomlin. Let's go ahead and break it down here.
A little bit of a wink because I think Aaron Rodgers has kind of planted the seeds for a potential trade to the Pittsburgh Steelers maybe after this upcoming season.
Yeah.
So we're talking about this because Aaron Rodgers went on the Pat McAfee show and he had this to say. I'm just speaking the truth. If you ask me a question about Mike Tomlin, I'm going to tell you how I feel about Mike Tomlin. If you want to take that and run with it and say I'm angling for some sort of next team or something, I'm not. Yeah, Aaron, we think you are. I'm just answering the question about my respect for Mike and what he's done in this league, and the same when I talked about Ben Roethlisberger. I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan. I have been for a long time. I like the way he speaks about his team. I like the way he goes about his business. I like his confidence. I've heard nothing but good things from guys that have played there. So that's what Aaron Rodgers had to say about Mike Tomlin. And when you think about Aaron Rodgers' situation with the Green Bay Packers, these contentious feelings, Harrison, just don't go away. If you have any ill will toward a friend who screwed you over or a business partner who you did a bad deal with and you didn't conduct it or they didn't conduct it like you thought, it's not like you just reconcile this and these feelings just go away. So I do still feel like Aaron Rodgers has this bitter feeling toward the Green Bay Packers organization because they haven't operated in a way to support him over time.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the question is he planting seeds? I think it's possible. Here's what I do think happened, and, this hasn't been leaked. This is just me connecting dots. I think Aaron Rodgers reported to training camp because he came to an agreement with this Packers front office that after this season, if he wants out, they will get him out. I think he has that power after this year. I think once they agreed to that, he showed up and he said, okay, I'm going to give you guys everything I got this year, but if I want out after 2021, I'm gone. And I think that did happen. And, hey, he respects Mike Tomlin. They obviously squared off in the Super Bowl about 10 years ago now, and I think it's very, very possible, and it makes a lot of sense when you think about it, for Pittsburgh to go out and trade for this guy. Big Ben's done. He's cooked. I know you longtime Steelers fans don't want to concede that. It's just a fact, man. It's a bummer, but the elbow can't do it, man. He can't throw the ball downfield, so I think it makes sense for a trade to go and get Aaron Rodgers. He can be your guy for 2 or 3 years, and then hopefully you find a young guy after that. Here's what Colin Cowherd had to say, because he's had a lot of Aaron Rodgers opinions over the year. Quote, "The franchise has a history. They have Bradshaw. They've had a bunch of guys, and then they hit Big Ben, and that's the only time they won Super Bowls. The Rooney family remembers very well that big gap between Bradshaw and Big Ben." So the point Cowherd is making is Dwayne Haskins, Mason Rudolph, they're not the answer. This draft class probably doesn't have a true franchise guy. Someone might emerge, but what he's saying is Aaron Rodgers can make you a contender right away. He also said this: how do you solve it? You don't go to college. You go get Aaron Rodgers, who, unlike a college quarterback, doesn't have a 50% rate. He's got a 100% hit rate. What wins in sports in 2021? Aggressiveness, to correct Cowherd's use of the English language there. The point is, the Steelers aren't a team that rebuild. They're a team that's used to winning every single year. With these weapons at receiver they got, you go get Aaron Rodgers, you're a Super Bowl contender like that.
And what Pittsburgh has done over time, they've been one of the best developers of wide receiver talent. And since Mike Tomlin took over as head coach for Bill Cowher, he has never had a losing season. And it looks as though Pittsburgh could be heading in that direction. And for me, it's really because of Ben Roethlisberger. I think he's washed. And as we mentioned, like Dwayne Haskins, Mason Rudolph, they are not the future replacements for a Roethlisberger. So you're looking at a black hole if you don't replace Roethlisberger or if you continue to move forward with him. And there's this as well. Say that Green Bay, who has always been fiscally and financially conservative, does not sign Davante Adams to a contract extension. That momentum goes into everything that Aaron Rodgers has had a problem about. Green Bay not retaining talent on offense or defense, them not bringing in enough weapons, them drafting Jordan Love in the first round instead of going after a wide receiver. The connection between Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams has been one of the best quarterback-wide receiver tandems over the last several years. And if Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are like, hey, let's come back for 2022, but we're not going to pay Davante Adams, you think that's not going to have Aaron Rodgers feel in some type of way? The Steelers have everything in place for Rodgers to be successful and for Mike Tomlin to continue this long tradition of success if he were to get traded there. They have the defense. They have the wide receivers. The only reason they're as bad as they are right now is because of Ben Roethlisberger's inability to push the ball down the field. And of course that offensive line is bad, but when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, he can mask some of those problems. You go out in free agency, you go out in the draft, you plug and play some of those positions, and the Steelers could be back.
I mean, the bottom line is you look at this AFC North right now, arguably the best division in football up there with the NFC West. You got Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. Is he a superstar? I don't know, but he's good enough to win games. Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. You've got Joe Burrow, who's quickly rising to being a top 10-ish type of quarterback. Big Ben is a major drop-off from those guys right now. You have to have a quarterback in this division. I still think the Steelers probably have the best defense in this division, but why are they 1-3? They don't have the quarterback, and that's what it comes down to. Aaron Rodgers doesn't look like a guy who's washed to me. Doesn't look like a guy who's cooked to me. I think he's got 2, 3, 4 years left in the tank, and if you can get him, especially if the Steelers, let's say they go 5-12, this could be a team that's picking the top 5 or 6. Go ship that pick and another future first to Pittsburgh to get Aaron Rodgers. Boom, you're locked and loaded for the next few years to go chase AFC North championships and, more importantly, Super Bowl rings as well. So we'll ask you guys this. Should the Packers trade for Aaron Rodgers? Very simple. Type T for trade, type P for pass. if you're not typing your T for trade, you're probably a Packers fan because this seems like a no-brainer to me. They should try everything they can to get Rodgers to Pittsburgh.
And Big Ben was great. He no longer is. And I don't think people in the grand scheme of things really realize that Ben Roethlisberger was one of the best quarterbacks in the league, right behind Peyton Manning and Tom Brady for a long time.
Tough era to play in, man.
Won 2 Super Bowls, so already you're a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame, given the numbers that Roethlisberger has put up since he came into the league out of Miami of Ohio back in 2005. The longevity is another reason why he's going to make it into the Hall of Fame. 7-time Pro Bowler, future Hall of Famer. There's no question that he's been the best quarterback in the history of this illustrious franchise, better than Terry Bradshaw. Yes, Bradshaw has more Super Bowl rings than Big Ben, but when it comes to numbers, yes, it's a different era. Big Ben was getting it done for a long time, but over the last 5 years, he's gotten progressively worse each year.
This is not the let's bash Big Ben. This is the accepting reality segment, right? Like, guys, we saw it down the stretch last year. We've seen it through a month this year. He's somewhat serviceable, but you're not winning anything with Big Ben Roethlisberger at this point. You're just not. So answer this question, and it's tough to see for Steelers fans. I get it. But facts are facts, and Father Time catches up to everyone except for Tom Brady, it appears. So type W for if he's washed. Type G if you still think he's good. He's washed, man. It sucks. It's tough. It's hard to accept reality when this happens. We saw it with Peyton Manning, man. It just happens to everyone eventually. So get your W in, get your G in, and make sure you guys subscribe. All right, before we sign off, one final call out for Thursday Night Football. Putting you on the spot. Who's winning tonight?
I think it's the Rams. I started the show
you
saying
flipped.
Seattle, but I flipped because of the injury news coming in. Number 1 tight end, number 1 running back. They're both out. But
That's tough.
Russell Wilson can make magic happen, so it wouldn't surprise me in a great rivalry if the Seattle Seahawks were to be victorious.
I think it's better for the drama of the West if Seattle wins.
I think so, too.
The perfect scenario is Seattle and San Francisco winning this weekend. Then all 4 NFC West teams are within a game because, of course, the Niners play the Cardinals. SEALAR. Appreciate you guys rocking with us. We're about to sign off here on Any Given Thursday. Let's get a round of applause to Jeremy Chuggs for producing this thing. Appreciate his fine work. Shout out to Jeffrey Cooperstein for doing some of the work behind the scenes as well. We'll be back next weekend at 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific time. Subscribe. Share this with a friend. We're having a lot of fun. We're trying to go live every week, so subscribe and join us, and we'll see you guys next week here on Any Given Thursday.